Chapter 2069. After Una Okubo left overnight, Chimi Okubo once again came to Su Yun's room. Su Yun was already waiting for Chimi at this time. The two of them had been talking about this matter this afternoon. Chimi Okubo knew her own brothers and sisters too well. They all pretended to be pure on the surface, but everything they thought in their hearts was very sinister. Especially Okubo Arichi, he would never sit still and wait for death. Therefore, Chimi Okubo asserted that Okubo Arichi would definitely think of some ways to deal with her. Midway, Okubo Kawata came and met with Una and Mizushi. He said a lot of things, and then took Mizushi away, which showed that there was a problem. Chimi Okubo knew that she absolutely could not sit still and wait for death. She had to think of a way to solve it. Sure enough, Chimi Okubo's prediction was not wrong. Una Okubo did not leave with them, indicating that she had her own ideas. According to Chimi's understanding of her sister's jealousy of her was very serious. It had been like this since she was very young. As long as it was something that Chimi had, Una Okubo would definitely want to get it. The things that were snatched from Chimi's hands must be her favorite. Because that would bring Una Okubo a very strong pleasure. She enjoyed the taste of plundering and the excitement of taking things from Chimi's hands. Chimi Okubo asserted that Una Okubo would definitely make a move on Su Yun tonight, and she would definitely take away Su Yun, this man, from Chimi's side. Everything was as Chimi Okubo imagined. Una Okubo really made a move. Moreover, Una Okubo was really going all out. Just looking at her dress, it would definitely make a man spurt blood. Even if Su Yun had already planned the performance with Chimi, seeing Una Okubo's dress, he almost couldn't resist. It was certain that he would take a few more glances. It didn't matter if he took advantage of the eyes. Su Yun was still a person with strong willpower. He finally followed the plan that he and Chimi had arranged and performed perfectly, making Una Okubo completely believe these things. Just like what Chime said, Wana Okubo was actually a completely brainless woman, and she easily believed these lies. Even though these lies seemed to be full of loopholes in Su Yun's eyes, Wana Okubo still didn't notice the problem. This success made Su Yun very satisfied. After he and Qian Mei met, both of them were very satisfied with the control of the situation. Okubo Chiami had already made a decision. She must stand firm, so she had to use all means. Even if she had to use Okubo Mauna, she must not let Okubo Arichi's plot succeed. However, Okubo Chimi really ignored the abilities of her brothers and sisters. In fact, the biggest performers today were not her and Su Yun, but his brothers and sisters. Except for Obito Okubo, who was an outsider, the others had already colluded with Okubo Mai. After Wana Okubo left home, she immediately contacted Okubo Arichi. "Brother, I've done everything according to your arrangements." Okubo Arichi was very satisfied. "Una, you've really worked hard today." "Humph. It's not hard." Wana Okubo said, "I feel so happy when I think that Qian Mei will still treat me as a fool. She thinks I'm a person who's kept in the dark, but in fact, she doesn't know that she's the one who's kept in the dark." "Una, now you believe what I said. Qian Mei is really ambitious." Okubo Arichi said, "She has always looked down on us. She really thinks that each of us is doing it for 1 billion. No, we don't want that little money." Wana Okubo sneered. "Yes, in the past 2 years, she has been using the resources and relationships accumulated by her father to constantly take all the family's business on her alone. We all turn a blind eye. She really thinks we don't care. Then we'll let her know soon that we care." Okubo Arichi smiled slightly. "We've just been using her for the past 2 years, using her to get through the most difficult 2 years. These 2 difficult years have passed, and we should get back what belongs to us." Wana Okubo's expression was very determined. Yes, she was no longer the silly woman from 2 years ago. They already knew the truth of the matter. Qian Mei's mother was indeed killed by their father. However, none of them expected that the car accident that killed all of their fathers was planned by Qian Mei's father. When they knew the truth, they planned all this. They wanted Qian Mei to taste what it was like to lose something. When they squeezed everything out of Qian Mei, made her sacrifice for the family, and made her think that she had the ability to control the family, they would suddenly appear and destroy everything, so that Qian Mei wouldn't get anything. This was their revenge plan. However, the reason why Obito Okubo was excluded and became a sacrifice was very simple. Okubo Arichi felt that this cripple would be useless in the future. Moreover, his hospitalization became the fuse that could be implemented all the plans. That's right. Okubo Arichi wanted to use this fuse to make things big. What he wanted to do was definitely not just to make everyone think that there was just a small family dispute. This kind of small dispute was definitely not enough to completely defeat Okubo Chimi. How to completely defeat Okubo Chimi? It needed people to die. And this crime was arranged on Okubo Chimi after all. As a sacrifice, Obito Okubo didn't know that all this was a big conspiracy planned by the other 4 brothers and sisters. He would indeed become the one who paid the most among them. However, he was definitely not the one who could get the most out of them. Because the one who paid the most would have to pay the most, even including his life. A huge conspiracy had begun, but Okubo Chimi didn't think it would be so complicated. Although she knew that Okubo Arichi was very scheming, she never dared to think that their big brother would actually use Obito Okubo's life to plan this conspiracy. Obito Okubo was still sleeping very soundly. It was not easy for him to fall asleep after he went to the hospital because he had a thought in his heart. He felt that he could finally take revenge. He wanted to preserve his strength. Tomorrow, he wanted to completely ruin Okubo Chimi's reputation. He wanted to announce to the whole city that Okubo Chimi was having an affair with a man, and after being caught by him, she retaliated against him, which caused him to be injured. And all this news had already begun to spread in full swing. Of course, the major newspapers didn't want to miss such a headline. If there was such a topic on ordinary days, they wouldn't dare to report it. But today, this topic was personally sent to their door by the Okubo family, hoping that they would report it. Who would want to miss such good news? No one would want to miss it. Report. It must be reported truthfully. And the title must be long and explosive. It must be written, Miss Okubo Chimi was having an affair at home. After being caught by her brother, he became angry and destroyed her brother's life, causing Obito Okubo to become disabled. With this title, tomorrow, it would definitely cause an uproar in the whole city and even all of Japan, right? Okubo Arichi was very satisfied with this result. What he had to do now was to wait and see. Now, just thinking about Chimi's expression after seeing the news tomorrow, he was very excited. This was definitely a sleepless night for him. Once this matter was completed perfectly, the position of the head of the Okubo family would naturally fall onto his head. That's right, this was all he wanted. The head of the family in the previous generation was already Chimi's father. Why should it still be Chimi in this generation? He was the eldest son. It was reasonable for him to become the true successor. No one else was worthy. Chapter 2070. This huge conspiracy came without warning. When Okubo Chiaki woke up the next day, she was faced with thousands of reporters and media interviews at the door of her house. The black crowd had already surrounded the entire door of Okubo's house. Okubo Chiaki didn't even know what was going on, nor did she know what these people were after. However, when the servants brought the newspaper to Okubo Chiaki, the always gentle and elegant Okubo Chiaki even pushed all the things on the table in front of her to the ground. Anger filled her entire brain. She really couldn't believe what was happening in front of her eyes. She couldn't believe that the contents of the newspaper were so unbearable. The entertainment media nowadays are all like this. They talk nonsense whenever there's something. Don't mind it too much. Su-yun, don't think so much. Adjust your mentality and face this with a normal heart. In this aspect, Su-yun could be considered experienced. Although there weren't any media outlets in the country that dared to randomly report false information about him, he had dealt with a lot of false information about the artists under Sky Entertainment. Aside from the fake news that was created for the sake of publicity, anyone who randomly released false information would be severely punished. Therefore, Su-yun thought that Okubo Chiaki didn't need to worry about this small matter at all. False things would never become true. What's true can't be false, and what's false can't be true. Su-yun, no matter how long this false information lasts, sooner or later it will be broken by the truth. Okubo Chiaki really felt like she was about to collapse. She wasn't afraid of things that she didn't need, but she was afraid of the negative impact this kind of thing would have on the family business, and the companies that the Okubo family had a stake in. She couldn't estimate how much harm this would have on the family business. Now arrange for someone to investigate the person who released the false information. We must give this matter a positive explanation. Su-yun, punish this person severely and let others know what a taboo is. We must make him admit his mistake publicly. Okubo Chiami was silent for a while. Su-yun, who do you think spread this news? This. Su-yun was startled. He really didn't think about this problem. Now that Okubo Chimi mentioned it, he thought about it carefully. There was really a problem because when the accident happened that day, only a few people in the family knew about it. Very few people would do such a thing. The only person who could spread this news was the Otoku bodyguard himself. Yes. That was right. It must have been done by the person involved. Thinking about it again, Okubo Mai and the others must have also joined forces with the Okubo guards yesterday. Presumably, this matter was most likely arranged by them. Who would have thought that once these brothers really shed all pretense of cordiality, their methods would be quite despicable. Okubo Chiaki was particularly silent. She had to let the Okubo guards know how serious the consequences of this matter were. She had to get him to dispel the rumor. If it's the Okubo guards, then the only one who can solve this matter is you. Su-yun, you need to talk to him. Okubo Chiami nodded weakly. Right now, she probably couldn't even leave the house, right? With so many reporters surrounding the door, there was no possibility of her going to the hospital. Arrange for me to use your usual car. Su-yun, I'll contact Wunai now and ask her what kind of conspiracy she heard over there. I'll leave in your car, and the reporters will surround me. Find an opportunity to get another car to take you to the hospital, and let the Okubo guards explain the matter clearly. Okubo Chiami looked at Su-yun, moved. Thank you. Fortunately, I have you. Otherwise, I really don't know what to do next. Don't think so much. Just keep yourself as you usually are. Su-yun, the more trouble you encounter, the more you have to keep yourself calm. Only when you calm down can you figure out what you need to do. Okubo Chiaki nodded. She had to summon up her courage, cheer up, and cheer herself up. Although this kind of discrediting matter would smear the Okubo family's face and affect many aspects of cooperation, as long as it was solved, she believed that this kind of impact would disappear sooner or later. Since it had happened, she had to face it calmly and avoid the problem that couldn't be solved. Su-yun quickly got in touch with Okubo Chiaki. He was very surprised and asked her what had happened, and why the house was surrounded by so many reporters early in the morning. And how did the bad news about him and Okubo Chiaki spread? In the face of Su-yun's questions, Okubo Chiaki could only say that when she met with the others yesterday, she couldn't control the Okubo guards. She said that everything was what the Okubo guards wanted to do, and they couldn't stop them at all. Pouring all the dirty water on Obito Okubo was something that they had already discussed from the very beginning. Where are you now? I think it's necessary for us to meet. Su-yun. Now we can't stay here at all. Find a way to sneak out. You choose a place, and you have to tell me their motives. Otherwise, if I'm affected, you won't be the final winner. Okubo Chiaki readily agreed. Okay, then you find a way to get out of the house first, and then when you get to a place where you can make sure it's safe and there's no one around, tell me, and I'll find you as soon as possible. Okay. Su-yun hung up the phone after he finished speaking. He signaled to Okubo Chiaki that he would definitely help her get through this difficult time. At this time, Okubo Chiaki's car was also ready. After Su-yun got in the car, he closed all the built-in sunshades. It was originally a privacy glass, and with the sunshades, no one could see who was sitting in the car. But this car was recognized by all the media friends. This was Okubo Chiaki's car. When the door opened and the car drove out, the reporters swarmed forward and directly surrounded the car. Su-yun told the driver to slow down on the gas pedal, go slowly, and don't stop the horn. When someone maliciously blocked a car and was hit or run over by the car, it was protected by the law in Japan. In fact, Hua Xia should really learn this. If Hua Xia's driver was also protected, then no one would dare to blackmail him on the road. The car drove out bit by bit, and the reporters followed Su-yun's car for hundreds of meters. Su-yun finally received a call from Okubo Chiaki. She had successfully left. Su-yun successfully helped her attract the attention of all the reporters. It was just that it was really difficult for Su-yun to get rid of them now. "Brother, you go to the front passenger seat." "I'll do it." Su-yun patted the driver's shoulder and motioned for him to give up his seat. The driver hesitated for a moment, but still agreed to Su-yun's request. Su-yun directly got into the driver's seat from the back. Without saying a word, he pushed the car into neutral and stepped on the gas pedal. The engine was like a beast that had suddenly awakened. It suddenly roared. This was definitely effective. The reporters were there for an interview, and no one wanted to lose their lives because of this. With this step on the gas pedal, the crowd spread out to a range of 2 meters. Su-yun seized the opportunity and turned the steering wheel to the end. The car suddenly began to move in a circle, once again driving the surrounding reporters a few meters away. When the people on the other side wanted to go forward, Su-yun stepped on the gas pedal again in neutral and used the roar of the engine to intimidate the other party. Immediately after, he changed gears again and drove the crowd in a circle. After repeating this several times, Su-yun directly killed a path through the crowd, and the car returned home from a new place. The door closed, and the media surrounded the door again. At this time, Okubo Chiaki had already left. Su-yun returned the car to the driver and thanked him. It was much easier for him to leave. He found a secluded high wall and directly climbed over it. Chapter 2071. After Su-yun climbed over the wall, he received a call from Okubo Mauna. She said that she had arrived near a tree farm in the north of the district. There were few people here, so it was suitable for them to meet. She also didn't want to be seen by others. At this time, Su-yun also found a taxi and asked Okubo Mauna to tell the driver the address directly. After the driver learned the address, he didn't seem to want to go, but after looking at Su-yun, he didn't dare to refuse. Then, he took Su-yun to the north. After Okubo Chimi left home, she rushed to the hospital without stopping. There was only one thought in her mind now. This matter must be settled as soon as possible. It must not cause any more impact. After Okubo Chimi arrived at the hospital, she went straight to her second brother's ward. However, to her surprise, no one else was there at this time. Only Okubo Mauna was sleeping in the ward. "Second brother, do you know how much you've done?" Okubo Chimi broke in, took off her hat and sunglasses, and angrily accused, "You must publicly take back your words. This is for the sake of the family, do you understand?" Okubo Chimi stepped forward angrily because the other party's indifferent attitude made her unable to control her emotions. But when Okubo Chiami approached the Okubo guard, her heart inexplicably panicked for a moment. She suddenly realized that something was amiss. When Okubo Chimi found out that something had really happened, her whole person was completely unwell. She really couldn't accept this fact for a while. No matter how much Okubo Chimi hated this person, he was her brother after all. Okubo Chimi stepped forward and grabbed Okubo Mauna's hands. "Second brother. You don't scare me." "What happened?" Obito Okubo was already dead, lying on his bed. He didn't look like he was in any pain, nor did he look like he was suffering. He had died without any warning. He didn't breathe, and his eyes were wide open. It was as if he was talking to someone a second ago. At this time, Okubo Kawata and Okubo Mizuki suddenly appeared at the door of the ward. The two screamed, "Oh, no. Chienmei, what are you trying to do?" All of this made Okubo Chiami unprepared. She knew that the moment she stepped into the ward, she had already fallen into their trap. However, She really couldn't believe that they would use the method of killing Okubo's guards to set up this trap. Okubo guard died, and Okubo Chiami was identified by the police as the #1 suspect. All of this was a matter of course. According to common sense, today's newspapers all reported that Okubo bodyguard had discovered Okubo Chimi's adultery, and then the whole media was in a sensation. This incident caused a lot of noise, so Okubo Chiami became angry out of humiliation and had evil thoughts towards the Okubo Sentinel. This was definitely a very likely thing. Based on this point, the police will arrest Okubo Chimi as soon as possible. In addition, according to the investigation of the cause of Obito Okubo's death, his death was due to a large injection of morphine, which was directly injected into his chest. A syringe was found in the ward, and the substance extracted from the syringe was indeed morphine. According to the examination of the syringe, the fingerprints on it were Okubo Sentinel's own. But even if Okubo Sentinel had the possibility of relying on morphine, he wouldn't be stupid enough to inject it directly into his chest. This was absolutely courting death. Therefore, the police naturally suspected that someone had controlled Okubo Sentinel's hands and made him take the syringe to inject himself. In the end, the fingerprints extracted from Okubo Sentinel's hands were only Okubo Chimi's. All of this evidence pointed to Okubo Chimi's unfavorable. Furthermore, both Okubo Kawata and Okubo Mizuki were full of lies, saying that they saw Chian-mei doing something beside their second brother. The two of them had a slight dispute, and it must be because Chian-mei was angry at the news that the media reported today. Then they said that they didn't want to disturb them talking about some private matters, so they left temporarily, but they didn't expect to see such a scene when they came back. Okubo Sentinel actually died like this. All of this conspiracy was quite perfect. The two also talked about some discord between them in front of the police, saying that after Okubo Sentinel was injured and hospitalized, the four of them had been taking turns to take care of Okubo Sentinel, and Okubo Chimi didn't participate at all. Okubo Chimi knew that it was meaningless for her to say anything now. All of this required enough evidence to clear her name. She was wronged, and she believed that the truth would come out one day. Originally, it was just a media storm, but then, a second media storm appeared. What about the internal strife within the family? What about the inhumane heart of a snake and scorpion? These messy headlines began to spread all over the major newspapers and media websites. The three of them had to go back to the police station for investigation, so Okubo Chimi had no reason to refuse. The most important thing now was to cooperate with the police and explain everything clearly. She believed in the existence of the truth. On the way to the police station, Okubo Chimi didn't say a word. She was thinking about the whole thing, she was thinking about how all of this was planned. In this huge conspiracy, Su-yun must be a victim. Okubo Mauna absolutely believed in this. She suddenly became worried. That's right, Okubo Mauna and Okubo Mauna weren't in the hospital. Could it be that everything about Mauna was a disguise? Su-yun was in another conspiracy that led to them. If that was the case, it would be troublesome because Su-yun had no identity in Dongying. He didn't have a passport or anything. Once he was caught by the police, it would be even more difficult to defend himself. What should I do now? Okubo Chimi panicked. She didn't want to implicate Su-yun because of her. After all, Su-yun had nothing to do with this matter. This was their family dispute. It didn't matter if she lost badly, but she couldn't implicate Su-yun. Okubo Chimi fell into deep self-blame, but it was meaningless. She couldn't change anything. Since the moment she got into the police car, her freedom had been temporarily suspended. Before the truth of the matter was investigated, she couldn't do anything. She could only silently bear all of this. Su-yun, I hope nothing happens to you. Okubo Chimi only had this request now. She even hoped that Su-yun would run away when he sensed that something was wrong. Don't continue to be involved in this chaos. Su-yun, go as far as you can. He wanted to leave Japan and get out of this huge conspiracy. Okubo Chimi shouted in her heart. At this time, Su-yun had already arrived at the forest in the North District under the guidance of the taxi driver. After arriving at the destination, Su-yun paid for the taxi driver. The driver didn't dare to take it at all. He looked at Su Yun with a helpless smile, as if it was right for him to bring Su Yun here, and it was wrong for him to take the money. How would I dare to take the fee of your Iha Kai? The driver said cautiously, if there's anything I've done wrong, please forgive me. Iha Kai? Su Yun was startled. Which part of him looked like a member of the Iha Kai? They didn't say a word along the way. Did he become a member of the Iha Kai? What did the driver mean by this? Free delivery. Today's luck was quite good. As soon as Su Yun got out of the car, he realized that he thought too little. Since the other party said that he was a member of the Iha Kai, there must be a basis. And the best basis was this forest farm. There was only one possibility: this forest belonged to the Iha Kai. That was why the driver thought that Su Yun was a member of the Iha Kai. Huh? Iha Kai? What kind of trick was Okubo Chimi playing with him? Su Yun finally realized that something was wrong. He still had a chance to leave, but if he didn't figure this out, how could he help Chimi? Whether it was a dragon's pool or a tiger's den, Su Yun had already come here. He didn't intend to return empty-handed. Chapter 2072. Looking at the huge forest in front of her, Su Yun thought of the Baldy and the two bears that often appeared on TV. A seemingly meaningless work without any funny points could actually become something that could be heard by anyone, from an old woman to a 2-year-old child. Now was not the time for Su Yun to complain. Su Yun looked at the tree farm. It looked calm outside. He knew that the calmer things looked on the outside, the more turbulent they were inside. The phone rang again. It was Okubo Mauna calling. Have you arrived? Oh, is there a surveillance camera? Su Yun smiled slightly. He looked around. There was definitely a surveillance camera in this place, but it must be hidden in an inconspicuous place. Okubo Mauna, who was in front of the surveillance screen, quickly said, I just heard the sound of a car just now, so I called to ask you. And Su Yun, whether there is a surveillance camera or not, I came to see you. Where are you? Go inside the tree farm. It's safer here. Okubo Mauna said. She had successfully completed her task. I'm waiting for you inside. Hurry. Su Yun hung up the phone. You can't wait to kill me? Let's go. Who cares who is inside? So what if it's Yai Hekai? They were still beaten by him yesterday. They were not his opponent at all. Looking at Su Yun walking into the tree farm on the surveillance screen, Okubo Mauna's face finally showed a satisfied smile. This was the result he wanted. As long as Su Yun came in, he wouldn't be able to get out alive. Okubo Mauna breathed a sigh of relief. Brother, I brought him to you. I won't participate in the rest of the things. Mauna, we are all on the same side. What else do you want to do? Okubo Mauna smiled slightly. We are all grasshoppers on the same line. You don't think that if you leave now and something happens to this man, it will have nothing to do with you, right? Don't forget, he came here because of you. Una Okubo was a little angry, but she couldn't vent her anger. Brother, that's not what you said before. The rest of the matter will be handled by you and the Righteous Peace Society. It has nothing to do with me. How could it not matter? This matter is very important. Okubo said, if you leave, you won't be able to see a good show. Right now, Chen Mei should have already entered the trap. Don't worry, everything is under my control. Mauna Okubo said, I don't care if you want to kill people, and I don't care if you kill second brother, but don't do it in front of me. I'm a Buddhist. You're a Buddhist, aren't you? Okubo Mei said disdainfully, Wuna, don't joke with me. If you do that, President Gue Shan will laugh at us. Mauna Okubo was startled. President Kamayama is also here. This news was indeed shocking to Mauna Okubo. She had always thought that Nakata Kanzuya would be the one to deal with this matter, as President Gue Shan would not show up for anything outside the Righteous Peace Society. Nakata Kanzuya's expression did not look too good. He had been defeated by Su Yun, and had been taught a terrible lesson by Su Yun. He was still afraid of Su Yun. Even if the Heavenly Network was here today, Su Yun would not be able to escape from this forest. But even so, Nakata Kanzuya was not very confident. He did not know what Su Yun was capable of, but he was sure of one thing. Even if they could take down Su Yun, they would be in a miserable state. But President Gue Shan was very confident in this. The current president of the Righteous Peace Society, Kamayama Junsaburo, had participated in the largest gang fight in Honshu. Because of that incident, Kamayama Junsaburo established his position in the Japanese mafia. Very quickly, he became the current president of the Righteous Peace Society. And because of him, the Righteous Peace Society rose to power. Kamayama Junsaburo was a smart person. He knew what kind of people he should interact with, so that he could develop his power more steadily. Thus, Kamayama Junsaburo was very close to the various political families in Japan. Thus, he was nicknamed the government dog. Of course, only a portion of people called him that behind his back. No one dared to call him that in front of his face. Not many people dared to call him that behind his back. Even if they called him that, they acknowledged his abilities. Some people even said that even if Kamayama Junsaburo caused a huge explosion in Japan, as long as it was not a nuclear explosion, no one would dare to capture him and lock him up. This was Kamayama's ability. People with the surname Kamayama were not necessarily Kamayama's grandson. As expected, people should not have the same surname. President Kamayama isn't feeling well, so he's been resting in the wooden house over there. Nakata Wazawa also said, "Ms. Unai, you wouldn't mind, right?" Unai Okubo looked slightly unhappy. "Of course I wouldn't mind. Furthermore, I don't have the right to mind. President Kamayama is such an important person, he's not someone I can meet casually." "Unai, you better watch your words." Okubo-me said, "President Kamayama isn't feeling well, you should understand." Unai Okubo didn't say anything. Even if he wasn't feeling well and didn't come to see her, someone should have told her, right? She came to the forest like an idiot, only to find out that Kamayama Junsaburo was in the wooden house next to the control room. When Unai Okubo expressed her unhappiness, footsteps sounded. Kamayama Junsaburo actually stood up and walked over. He probably felt that it was about time. "Ms. Unai, you can't blame me for this. If I knew you were coming, I would have waited for you." It wasn't a secret that Kamayama Junsaburo was an old pervert. He also knew about Unai Okubo's licentious nature, so he didn't hide his true nature. Unfortunately, although Wana Okubo was dissolute by nature, she also had a choice. She liked handsome men. In the face of a fat, ugly, and old man like Kamayama Junsaburo, she had no interest at all. "Ikuan, this is your fault. You didn't tell me that Ms. Unai would come." Kamayama Junsaburo smiled. "President Kamayama is joking." Unai Okubo said, "I'm just a little girl. How can I disturb President Kamayama? I heard that you're not feeling well, so go back and rest. We can handle this." Kamayama Junsaburo shook his head. "No, I have to participate in this personally. I have to see who that guy is to be able to deal with so many of my brothers. I can't take this lying down. President Kamayama, don't worry. He won't be able to escape today." Unai Okubo said confidently, "I don't believe that with so many people and guns, we can't deal with him alone. Mr. Nakata's mistake that day was because he wasn't prepared. Otherwise, how could he be so arrogant?" Kazuo Nakata didn't want to talk too much about this topic. He was almost scolded to death by the president. At this time, Su Yun had already entered the forest. The surveillance along the way recorded Su Yun's route clearly. Su Yun naturally noticed the surveillance equipment, but he always pretended to be indifferent and didn't deliberately pay attention to those things. Unai Okubo calculated the time and stood up. "President Kamayama, let me meet him first. Even if he dies, I have to let him know. I can't let him die without knowing anything. That would be too unfair to him." Following the main path in the forest, Su Yun quickly arrived at the encirclement that was prepared for him. At this time, Unai Okubo knew that she should come out and have a chat with him. Chapter 2073. When Okubo Arichi suddenly appeared in front of Su Yun with people, Su Yun didn't show any surprise, everything was reasonable. Su-yun-san, we meet again. Okubo Arichi smiled slightly. It's just that there seems to be something wrong with this place. Su-yun also smiled, sighed, and said loudly, Miss Woon-ai, I trusted you so much, but you actually betrayed me. You've truly disappointed me. Okubo Arichi laughed. Su-yun-san really knows how to joke. Your acting is also very good, but unfortunately, we didn't believe it at all. If it weren't for Unai's good acting, I'm afraid you wouldn't have been fooled. Oh yes, there's another reason. It must be that Chimi was too confident that Unai would be fooled. Yes, it was indeed because Chimi was too confident, so Su-yun didn't think too much about anything at all. He believed in Chimi, so he also had confidence in Chimi's confidence. If he thought a little more, Su-yun wouldn't be in such a situation now. But it didn't matter to Su-yun. If Okubo Arichi wanted to use the power of the Yakuza to kill him, then he wouldn't be merciful. No one would investigate the Japanese Yakuza at all, just like in Hong Kong and Macau and Huaxia. If you were a member of a gang, after being killed, no police would help you investigate. They were different from ordinary citizens. So Su-yun wasn't worried at all. On the contrary, this kind of place where there was no one allowed him to show his hands and feet. Yihai Kai again. Su-yun really couldn't believe that Okubo Arichi would collude with a Yakuza group that was bullying their family. If a guy like Okubo Arichi really became the leader of the family, then everything in the family would be really finished. Have you ever thought about the price you have to pay for asking Yihai Kai to deal with me? Su-yun smiled slightly. This price may be very high. Why? Okubo Arichi said, I don't think it's high, and you already have a conflict with Yihai Kai. I'm killing many birds with one stone. Everyone can get a reasonable result. Su-yun shook his head. What do you think the Righteous Union will do after dealing with me? Do you know what kind of things they have done to your family? That's between them and Chen Mei. They don't have that many conflicts with me. Okubomai said, Kaiomi can't even protect herself now, so we don't need to think about the future. After that, you can leave the family to me, and there won't be so much trouble. Su-yun smiled. I didn't expect someone as old as you to be so naive. Mr. Su-yun, I advise you to cooperate with us. Hand over the Buddha's head and I can spare your life. Okubo said, As for Qian Mei, I'm afraid she can only explain it to the police, so I'm sorry. You may not be able to see her in the future, and don't expect her to help you. Su-yun didn't understand what was going on, but Okubo Mai's words did make Su-yun worried. When Su-yun slowly took out his mobile phone and dialed Okubo Kaiomi's phone number, the smile on Okubo Mai's face became even more exaggerated. He looked at the time. You really don't need to call. At this time, I think Kaiomi should have already cooperated with the police. A murder suspect will definitely confiscate the phone. Sure enough, the phone was turned off. But Su-yun still couldn't figure out what kind of conspiracy this was. What did Okubo Mai mean by a murder suspect? Oh yes, I forgot to tell you. Okubo Mai said, I said that I would let you die a clear death, and I will admit defeat wholeheartedly. So I'm telling you now, Qian Mei has already killed her own brother, Okubo Mai. So the police will investigate her, and our other brothers will tell the police that they have always been at odds, and after Kaiomi thought she was the first heir of the family, she repeatedly tried to hurt Okubo Mai. At this moment, there were only 3 words in Su-yun's mind: inhumane. For a conspiracy they could do such a thing, it was simply heartbreaking. And this time, Okubo Mai's script was damaged by Kaiomi, and everyone in Dongying knows about it. Okubo Mai said, What do you think is the possibility of Kaiomi being cleared? Su-yun smiled disdainfully. Black can't be white, and white can't be black. There is truth in everything in the world. Kaiomi wouldn't do such a thing, so no matter how perfect your plan is, it won't succeed. And there is no such thing as an impenetrable wall in the world. The truth of who killed him will be revealed sooner or later. Who would believe such nonsense? Okubo Mai smiled disdainfully. Huaxia people, this is Dongying. Su-yun looked around. Do you think the people here are enough to deal with me? Okubo Mai hurriedly waved his hand. Let's not talk about such ugly things now, it's not appropriate to fight and kill. Ha ha ha, as long as you send the Buddha's head back, I will definitely let you live. Su Yun shrugged. Unfortunately, the Buddha's head is a cultural relic of Huaxia, and it has already been sent away. Don't even think about it. Without the Buddha's head, you will die. Okubomai said, I will give you 3 minutes to consider whether you want to use the Buddha's head in exchange for your life. Okubomai inquired about the value of the Buddha's head through some channels. That thing was smuggled by cultural relic dealers, and it was sold for such a high price. If it was kept, who knew how much it would be worth in the future? One had to know that cultural relics were very hyped up. A gold Buddha's head worth more than 6 billion was worth 300 million renminbi. Okubomai heard that Huaxia once had a small tea bowl with a chicken printed on it that sold for more than 200 million renminbi. If this thing was sold to a tycoon, wouldn't it sell for a billion or even a few billion RMB? This was something that was hard to say. Therefore, Okubomai felt that the Buddha's head must be returned. There is nothing to think about. Without the Buddha's head, you will die. Do you still need to think about it? Su Yun didn't know where Okubomai got his courage from. Did he really think that he could kill him here? At this time, Kamayama Junsaburo walked out. My, what is this Buddha's head you mentioned? Why haven't I heard you mention it? Okubomai was startled. This old guy's ears were really sharp. President Kamayama, it's nothing. It's just something that belongs to our family. This kid cheated it from Chiaki. It's not worth much, but it is very meaningful to our family. Our family believes in Buddhism. Su Yun heard this and immediately laughed. You are not telling the truth. Ha ha ha. It seems that you are not being honest about your cooperation. President Kamayama? The president of the Iha Kai? When Kamayama Junsaburo saw Su Yun, he gritted his teeth in hatred. But now that Okubo mentioned a Buddha's head that he had never heard of, it made his heart itch. What is it? President, do you want to know what the Buddha's head is? Su Yun smiled. He was very good at manipulating people's minds. Chapter 2074. Of course, Kamayama Junsaburo wanted to know. When Okubo Arichi said those words, he was very interested. Because he really wanted to know what it was that made Okubo Arichi promise to save Su Yun's life. The person who wanted Su Yun's life was Kamayama Junsaburo. Okubo Arichi's words didn't count. Buddha's head is a Buddha's head. What else can it be? Kamayama Junsaburo said, Is it like a money printing machine? Something like that. Su Yun said, This Buddha's head is like a money printing machine. Its value will increase exponentially. Ms. Chiami spent 6 billion yen to buy it from a relic dealer in Huaxia. Who would want it now? It's worth at least 10 billion yen. Kamayama Junsaburo was shocked when he heard this. Something so valuable? The mafia didn't care about fame or status. They only cared about profit. Hearing such a large sum of money, he would be lying if he wasn't moved. President Kamayama is really naive. You don't know the real purpose of cooperating with others. Su Yun said, He's just using you to deal with me. President Kamayama, you're too easy to be used. Ikuin, what's going on? Hearing Su Yun's words, Kamayama Junsaburo's heart started to churn. Indeed, Okubo Arichi dared to use him, he will definitely make him pay the price. President Kamayama, don't listen to him. Okubo Arichi said, The Buddha's head is really not that important. It doesn't mean anything to others. It's just something that belongs to our family. And you still dare to promise that you can save his life if you get the Buddha's head? Who gave you the right to do that? Kamayama Junsaburo said, Today, this person came to me. His life is in my hands. If you want to control it, you can. Give me the Buddha's head and his life is yours. Okubo Yoshimasa was annoyed and regretted mentioning the Buddha's head, but he couldn't control his greed. President Kamayama, I was just lying to him. Even if he gave it to us, we still have to kill him. Su Yun heard everything clearly. You really don't have any integrity at all. Who would dare to cooperate with you? Just wait to be cheated by you. Su Yun, you're about to die, and you're still spouting nonsense. Okubo Rei could no longer suppress the murderous intent in his heart. I'll kill you right now. You'll be buried with the Buddha. Where is he? Take him down. Okubo Arichi's order seemed to have no effect at all, as no one appeared to help him take down Su Yun. Kamayama Junzaburo looked at Okubo with a sneer. Do you really think this place is your territory? Ijuin, the brothers in this place only listen to me. Okubo Arichi's body trembled. President Kamayama, of course, the brothers here only listen to you. I'll also listen to you. I'm helping you take down this bastard. The sooner I kill him, the sooner I'll be at ease. Kill him? Then you don't want the Buddha's head? Kamayama Junzaburo glanced at Okubo Arichi. Okubo Arichi gritted his teeth and made up his mind. No. As long as I kill him, President Kamayama can vent his anger. Now that Okubo Arichi wants Su Yun to die, who knows what kind of tricks he can play while he's still alive. In the face of this situation that he can't control, he thinks that killing Su Yun is the best solution. Even if he didn't have the Buddha's head, he would still kill him. At least he could get something else. Kamayama Junzaburo nodded. I'm not that angry. I have a good mentality. Su Yun smiled in his heart. He could even guess what Kamayama Junzaburo was thinking. This guy's interest in the Buddha's head was far beyond their expectations. Since you don't want the Buddha's head, I'll take it back. It'll be mine, right? Kamayama Junzaburo said in a questioning tone, but he was telling a story that no one could go against. Okubo Arichi was stunned. President Kamayama, we agreed that I'll find a way to lure him here, and you'll be responsible. I didn't say that I won't be responsible. Kamayama Junzaburo said. But if he can give me the Buddha's head, why should I kill him? This isn't even your territory. If you can promise to give him a life, why can't I promise to give him a life? Okubo Arichi was completely speechless. From the beginning, Okubo Arichi felt that Kamayama Junzaburo didn't give him any face. If it wasn't for Su Yun's appearance, Kamayama Junzaburo wouldn't have come out of the wooden house. He didn't care about Okubo Arichi at all. In Kamayama Junzaburo's eyes, Okubo Arichi was just a bait to lure Su Yun. As long as Su Yun took the bait, Okubo Arichi was nothing. He was nothing. He was just a piece of trash, a piece of trash. Now that Su Yun was in front of Kamayama Junzaburo, what use did Okubo Arichi have? He was useless. Kamayama Junzaburo didn't believe that Okubo Arichi had the ability to expand the Okubo family. He knew that after Okubo Arichi framed Okubo Chiyami, the Okubo family would collapse. Of course, he wouldn't care about a piece of trash. President Kamayama is really smart. Su Yun smiled. I didn't believe him when he said he would spare my life. But I do believe you when you said you would spare my life. I believe that President Kamayama is a man of his word. Kamayama Junzaburo laughed. Of course, that's how Kamayama does things. Keep his word. Okubo Arichi gritted his teeth. If you kept your word, you wouldn't have changed your mind. These Yakuza couldn't be trusted. They changed their minds so easily. What should he do now? President Kamayama, don't be fooled by him. He has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. Okubo Arichi hurriedly said, otherwise, he wouldn't have fooled Chiyami. Chiyami wouldn't have given him such an important Buddha head. You have to be careful of this guy. Don't be fooled by him. I'm not as stupid as you think. Kamayama Junzaburo said, I don't need you to teach me how to do things. Su Yun gave him a thumbs up. He had seen through Kamayama Junzaburo. As long as he said what he wanted to say, he would soon lose his mind. The more Okubo Arichi reminded him, the more he felt that Arichi was too talkative. President Kamayama is really smart. You know what to do now. Su Yun smiled. I like to work with smart people, not arrogant people. I think I can talk to President Kamayama about the Buddha head. Kamayama Junzaburo was very satisfied with this answer. Since Mr. Su has this idea, that's great. Then let's put aside all our prejudices and talk about the conditions. President Kamayama. You can't do this. Okubo Arichi was stunned. Why did he become an outsider? Kamayama Junzaburo stared at him coldly. Why couldn't he do this? Didn't Okubo Arichi talk to Su-yun without his permission? This was his territory. Whatever he wanted to talk about, he would talk about it. No one had the right to interfere with his business, especially Okubo Arichi. He thought too highly of himself. Do I need your permission to do whatever I want? When Kamayama Junzaburo said this, Nakata Kanzuya stared at Okubo Arichi. He meant that if Okubo Arichi continued to talk nonsense, the Yaihekai would not be polite to him. Okubo Arichi gritted her teeth in annoyance. She shouldn't have come here today. Kamayama Junzaburo was a treacherous person with no credibility. She didn't know what Okubo Arichi was thinking. Why did he want to talk about cooperation with him? He deserved it. He brought this upon himself. He wouldn't have died if he didn't ask for it. Okubo Arichi's mind was filled with how to pull Kamayama Junzaburo back to his side. If he was tricked by Su-yun, they would be in danger. Chapter 2075. President Kamayama. The Buddha's head has been taken back to Huaxia by his friends. He can't get it back. Okubo Mai said, "Don't be fooled by his tricks. He must be trying to drive a wedge between us and use it to make things difficult for us." Su-yun clapped his hands. Well said. You think I can't get it back, so why are you talking about the Buddha's head with me? You know whether I can get the Buddha's head back or not. That's why you're talking to me. Okubo Mai was speechless. She didn't know how to explain. President Kamayama, you can choose to believe him or me. Su-yun said, if you're willing to cooperate with me, we can talk about the Buddha's head. After all, my life is more important than the Buddha's head. Kamayama Junzaburo looked at Su-yun, trying to see how much of his words were true and how much was false. I believe that the Buddha's head is not as important as your life. Kamayama Junzaburo nodded, but how can you guarantee that the Buddha's head? If I say that I will give you the Buddha's head now, it will be a lie, Su-yun said, but if you're willing to cooperate with me, everything else can be discussed. Okubo Mai tried to stop him. Don't believe him. President, you have to believe me. He must have some tricks up his sleeve. What's the point of saying all this now? I have a trick up my sleeve? You're the one who set this up, I'm the one who fell into your trap. Su-yun smiled. President Kamayama, do you think a person who fell into your trap will still play tricks? Kamayama Junzaburo had already made his decision. He knew how to solve this problem. I think our cooperation should end here. Kamayama Junzaburo smiled. You don't have the Buddha's head. Okubo Mai's expression changed. President, I promised you that as long as we cooperate, we can discuss any amount of money you want. I will be the head of the Okubo family. You're too sure. Kamayama Junzaburo said, compared to whether or not you can become the head of the Okubo clan, I'd rather bet on the Buddha's head. I'll definitely become one. But I'm sure he won't take the Buddha's head out. Okubo Mai said, President, Chian Mei is now suspected of murder and has been taken away. As long as the confessions between us brothers are the same, she will definitely not be able to come out. Kamayama Junzaburo smiled. Actually, if the Okubo family didn't have Chiami Okubo, they would fall in a short time. Moreover, if Okubo Chiami is defeated, the Abe family will be very happy. Kamayama Junzaburo also knows this. However, he felt that if that was the case, what benefit would it bring to him? After the Okubo clan had completely fallen, the Abe clan would no longer need to hire him to cause trouble for the Okubo clan. What benefits would Kamayama Junzaburo have then? Relying on the protection fees from the Okubo clan? But once the Okubo family's chime was finished, who else would have the ability to make money? No one else had the ability to make money. How could someone who didn't have the ability to make money satisfy Kamayama Junzaburo's appetite? Also, losing a Buddha's head that was worth 10 billion yen, Kamayama Junzaburo really didn't want to lose it. After thinking about it, Kamayama Junsaburo felt that changing the way of cooperation might be the most beneficial for him. If Chiami Okubo can't come out because of the murder, it won't benefit me at all. Kamayama Junsaburo shook his head with a smile. Ikuin, I suddenly understood something. I would rather have a capable opponent than an incompetent subordinate. Okubo Mai was startled. He knew that the subordinate Kamayama Junsaburo was talking about was him. President Kamayama, you can't just change your mind like this, right? Okubo Mai couldn't believe it. Just because of a Buddha's head? Isn't a Buddha's head enough to change my mind? Kamayama Junsaburo said, a Buddha's head can make you think that this place is your territory. Do you understand what I mean? Okubo Mai was really angry. If he wasn't too greedy, this wouldn't have happened. President Kamayama is indeed a straightforward person. Suyun said, then I'll have to trouble you too. Kamayama Junsaburo smiled. Suyun-san, if you can bring the Buddha's head to me first, we can talk about anything. You heard it too. Right now, Miss Qian Mei is facing charges of intentional homicide. I can help her. If you are willing to. Suyun nodded. A Buddha's head to save Ms. Kiami's life. This is a good deal. President Kamayama, I promise you that I will bring the Buddha's head to you. Ms. Chiami gave it to me, it's not too much for me to take it back to save her. Suyun-san is a righteous person. Kamayama Junsaburo said, I can forget about our previous conflicts. I'll give you time to bring the Buddha's head to me. Suyun said, if Ms. Chiami didn't kill them, then you can help me find out if it was Mr. Kamayama. This is too easy. Kamayama Junsaburo laughed. The one in front of you is the real murderer. Suyun-san, as long as I have the Buddha's head, I can make everyone in Okubo's generation go to jail because of this. That won't be necessary. The culprit can't be forgiven. The others can be forgiven. Suyun said, Ms. Chiami isn't someone who doesn't care about friendship. I hope that President Kamayama can arrange this in 2 days. I promise that I will bring the Buddha's head to you in 2 days. Kamayama Junsaburo said, I believe that you are a righteous person, I will wait for you. Then, Kamayama Junsaburo pointed at Okubo Mai and said, lock him up first. President Kamayama, you can't be so greedy. Okubo Mai said hysterically. But no sound could be heard in the forest. Okubo Mai looked at the situation blankly. She didn't know what to do. She was scared, really scared. President Kamayama, we will make a deal in 2 days. You want the Buddha's head and I want Ms. Chiami to come out safely. Suyun said, it's a deal. Kamayama Junsaburo nodded. Of course, it's a deal. As long as I can see the Buddha's head, everything will be fine. Then I will leave first. Suyun didn't look back and left the forest. He needed to come up with a plan in the shortest time possible. Lin Guo had returned to China. He needed to call Wan Guangxiao and ask them to arrange for Lin Guo to take the earliest flight back to Japan. Of course, Lin Guo couldn't come back empty-handed. He had to bring the Buddha's head. Okubo Mai looked at Suyun leaving and Okubo Mai being detained. She didn't feel good. President Kamayama. If there's nothing else, should I leave too? Ms. Mai, to be honest, I don't want you to leave. But I know you have to go. Kamayama Junsaburo said, I have something for you to do. Inform your 2 brothers that I want to meet them tonight, including you. There are some things that we need to talk about. I understand, President. I'll inform them now. Okubo Mai sighed in relief. Leaving this place was the most important thing for her. The atmosphere was too scary. After everyone left, Nakata Kazuo said, President, are we really going to let that Suyun get away so easily? You have been with me for so many years. Don't you understand such a simple thing? Kamayama Junsaburo said, there are no eternal enemies in this world, only eternal benefits. We will cooperate with whoever gives us more benefits. Can you understand this logic? Nakata Kazuo nodded. Yes, President. I understand. Good. You have to be like this in the future. You only care about benefits. Nothing else matters. Kamayama Junsaburo smiled. I really want to see what a Buddha's head worth billions looks like. Chapter 2076. What should we do with Okubo Arichi? Nakata Kanzuya was startled. After all, that guy was also from the Okubo family. It wouldn't be appropriate to keep him in custody. Do you need me to teach you that? Find his brothers and talk to them. Communicate with them and collect evidence of his murder. Kamayama Junsaburo said, as long as we get the Buddha head, we'll find a way to clear Okubo Arichi's name. Besides, I do need a capable person to support the Okubo family. Otherwise, do you think the Abe family would need our help if Okubo Arichi was in charge? Nakata Kanzuya nodded in agreement. Only now did he understand the guild leader's true intentions. It seemed that sometimes, one couldn't simply consider things when doing things. One had to consider the various aspects of one's needs. President, I'll do it right away, Nakata Kanzuya said, but, don't you need to personally deal with the communication between the higher-ups? I'll have dinner with a few people tonight. You just need to do what you're supposed to do. Kamayama Junsaburo said lightly. Yes. Nakata Kanzuya nodded. 2 days passed quickly. Lin-gu never thought that he would have to fly back so soon after leaving Tokyo. This was really a torment of sea, land, and air. If it wasn't for Wan Guangxiao personally communicating with him, he wouldn't have been able to catch the earliest flight. Su Yun also had a hard time these 2 days. He couldn't visit Okubo Arichi at all because the situation wasn't clear yet. She was still temporarily detained. The only thing that could help her now was the bargaining chip in Su Yun's hand. After receiving Lin-gu at the airport, the two quickly got in the car. Do as I say. The two didn't exchange any pleasantries. Su Yun went straight to the point. He knew that time waited for no man. The longer they delayed, the more the evidence would be blurred, and the worse it would be for Okubo Arichi. Lin-gu nodded and quickly opened the wooden box for Su Yun to see. Su Yun saw the Buddha head and felt more at ease. Okay, then we'll go now. If the other party changes their mind, you know what we have to do, right? Understood. Lin-gu said, it doesn't matter if you hit him hard. Just treat it as a commemoration of the Chi-Chi incident. Today was indeed a little special. Su Yun smiled faintly. Since you've come to your senses, let's show them what we're capable of. Su Yun had asked for this car from the Okubo family. Most of the people in the Okubo family still hoped that Miss Chimei could be cleared of her crimes and find her innocence. After all, only when Miss Chimei was in charge of the family could they continue to work in the Okubo family safely. In other words, more than half of the Okubo family could provide support to Su Yun in other ways. Su Yun started the car and contacted Kamayama Junsaburo. Just a few hours ago, after Su Yun confirmed that Lin-gu had boarded the plane, he contacted Kamayama Junsaburo and explained the current situation. Kamayama Junsaburo knew that the Buddha's head was coming and took it very seriously. After calculating the time, he arranged a meeting at a club under the Righteous Peace Society's name. President Kamayama, the Buddha's head has arrived safely. Su Yun said, I'm bringing the Buddha's head to see you now. Shouldn't you also have your people prepare to help Miss Chimei clear her name? As soon as I receive a call from Miss Chimei, the Buddha's head will be yours immediately. Of course. Then you go first. You don't need to worry about those things. I've arranged everything. As long as I say the word, Miss Okubo will be cleared of all charges within an hour. At that time, it will be Okubo Arichi who will go in. Kamayama Junsaburo said, I've already told you about the banquet I've arranged. Your brothers have also just landed and are covered in dust, so they should relax a bit. I know, President Kamayama means that you won't do anything without seeing the Buddha's head. Su Yun said, I believe that you're a trustworthy person. I'll be there soon. According to the address that Kamayama Junsaburo sent to Su Yun used the GPS and went directly to the club under the name of the Righteous Peace Society. When Su Yun and the others arrived, there were already many cars parked in the parking lot outside the club. Kamayama Junsaburo must have also made the most stringent security arrangements. Just as Su Yun expected, when they followed the person at the door to Kamayama Junsaburo's room, there were 30 bodyguards inside and outside the room, all of them armed with guns. Lin Gu looked at Su Yun cautiously. He felt that this was a bit unreliable. Su Yun gave him a look, indicating that everything should be done according to the plan. If there were any accidents, they should capture the leader first. "Oh, I've been waiting for 2 distinguished guests to come." Kamayama Junsaburo smiled and ordered Nakata Kanzuya, "Go, pour tea for the distinguished guests." Su Yun smiled slightly. "President Kamayama, I'm not the one you've been waiting for, right? It's the thing in my hand." Kamayama Junsaburo raised his head and laughed. "Ha ha ha, look at what you're saying. The Buddha's head is indeed the treasure I want, but you are also the friends I want to make. Then let's not beat around the bush." Su Yun took the wooden box from Lin Ji's hands and placed it on the table. "I've shown it to President Kamayama first. The rest is up to you." Kamayama Junsaburo pointed at his phone and said, "Everything is under my control." Su Yun opened the wooden box, and a colorful and worn stone Buddha's head appeared in front of everyone. "President Kamayama, this is the Buddha's head. This is a cultural relic from Hua Xia that has existed for thousands of years. It's worth a lot. As long as Miss Chiaki is safe, it's yours." Lin Ji's heart started to beat faster. "That's right, it's a stone Buddha's head, not a golden Buddha's head." Su Yun gambled again, a huge gamble. He gambled that Kamayama Junsaburo didn't know what the Buddha's head was. That's why he got the country to prepare this Buddha's head to make up the numbers. Phew! At this moment, it was as if the two of them were playing Russian roulette with their lives on the line. "Ha ha ha ha. Mr. Su Yun, you're indeed trustworthy." Kamayama Junsaburo laughed again. "You really brought the Buddha's head. Good, very good, very good." However, just as Kamayama Junsaburo agreed, he suddenly smashed the glass next to him. This was a signal. Hua! The 20 people in the room all took out their pistols. They aimed at Su Yun and Lin Gu. "Su Yun, Kuan, do you think I'm stupid?" Kamayama Junsaburo's expression became very dark. "Yes, I've never seen the Buddha's head. But do you think I didn't ask around? A pure gold Buddha's head has turned into stone? You're really a great magician." Su Yun tried to stay calm. He lost the bet, but he couldn't accept his fate. Some things, accepting one's fate was equivalent to giving up. "President Kamayama, who told you that the Buddha's head is pure gold?" Su Yun asked. "How can you believe that?" Kamayama Junsaburo was startled. He had asked Okubo Ayumi about this. Could Okubo Ayumi be lying to him? Think about it. If someone wanted to set us up, they would have said something completely different from the Buddha's head. They would have made you believe them and misunderstand me. Su Yun said, "I'm 100% honest. If you don't believe me, you can come and verify it." The silent man beside Kamayama Junsaburo must be the cultural relic expert he hired. Su Yun was sure of this. Judging from his scholarly appearance, it was obvious. Kamayama Junsaburo was stunned when he heard Su Yun's confidence. Did he really fall for Okubo Ayumi's trick? "Su Yun, Kuan, you have to think carefully. If you lie to me, Okubo-san's fate will be in trouble." Kamayama Junsaburo said, "My people can send Okubo Ayumi in at any time and bring her out. They can also bring Okubo Ayumi back at any time and let her continue to be investigated. If we waste time, it'll be a waste of her opportunity." Su Yun nodded. "Of course I know. I know it too well. Let your people check the goods." Chapter 2077. Even though Su Yun was full of confidence, Kamayama Junsaburo was still hesitant. Was Su Yun telling the truth, or was Okubo Arichi telling the truth? He couldn't completely trust these two people. The one who had the Buddha's head was Su Yun, and the Okubo guard who had seen the Buddha's head with his own eyes was already dead. The only one who could get information about the Buddha's head from the Okubo guard was Okubo Mai. It wasn't easy for Kamayama Junsaburo to make this choice. He knew that if he wasn't careful, he would screw things up completely. If things went completely beyond his calculations, then wouldn't all his previous efforts have been in vain? Furthermore, Kamayama Junsaburo didn't know what to do with the two people in front of him. They were both experts, and he didn't dare to let his guard down. President Kamayama, you can choose not to trust me or Okubo Arichi. But you should trust your expert, right? Let him see how much the Buddha's head is worth, and the truth will be revealed. Su Yun said casually. Kamayama Junsaburo didn't have any other choice. He could only trust the expert he invited. Oshima-san, I'll have to trouble you. The Oshima expert seemed to be very proud of himself. He nodded slowly. Since he had taken Kamayama Junsaburo's money, he had to do something for him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have a good ending. Oshima said faintly, Mr. Su, could you please? If the expert wants to check the goods, come to me. Su Yun said, before Okubo-san's matter is solved, I won't give the Buddha's head to anyone else. If President Kamayama wants to take it by force, the Buddha's head will die with me. Kamayama Junsaburo was startled. Looking at Su Yun's serious expression, perhaps the Buddha's head was really valuable. Maybe Okubo Arichi was just spouting nonsense to protect herself. That guy was an untrustworthy person. Oshima-san, let's follow Su Yun's instructions. Kamayama Junsaburo said. Mr. Oshima nodded. He stood up and walked over to Su Yun and Lin Gu. Su Yun looked like he was protecting a treasure. He blocked the Buddha's head and Mr. Oshima in front of him, as if he was afraid that the other party would take it away from him. However, all of this was just an illusion. The real threat came from Lin Gu. Lin Gu used his fingertips to push Oshima's head. It was no different from a dagger stabbing someone's back. With the cooperation of Su Yun and Lin Gu, no one noticed this. Kamayama Junsaburo and the others were also focused on the Buddha's head. No one thought too much about it. Mr. Oshima was panicking, but he didn't dare to say anything because the two Chinese people were too scary. He didn't move an inch and was very calm. Oshima-san, please inspect the goods. Su Yun smiled and said, you must see it clearly. This is too important. I believe in Kamayama Junsaburo's trust in you. You will not let him down. Oshima knew what Su Yun meant. He didn't dare to say anything. He took a deep breath and started to inspect the Buddha's head. From nowhere, there is no place to go. There is no beginning and no end, no birth and no death. Su Yun said to Kamayama Junsaburo while Oshima was inspecting the Buddha's head. President Kamayama, if you believe in Buddhism, you must treat the Buddha's head well. Kamayama Junsaburo was stunned. He didn't believe in Buddhism. He only believed in money. As long as he had money, he didn't care if it was a Buddha's head or something else. When the tribulation of no beginning comes, there is a so-called beginning. Before the Shakyamuni Buddha that we know of, there was already a Buddha. This thing is very mysterious. Su Yun, did you know that this Buddha's head was stolen from an ancient tomb thousands of years ago? It might have existed even longer. I don't know much about Buddhism. Mr. Su Yun, you are really knowledgeable. Kamayama Junsaburo said. However, what Su Yun said was useless. So, this Buddha's head is probably from a very long time ago? Is it the earliest Buddha's head in the world? Su Yun shook his head. Of course not. If it was the earliest, it would be worth more than 10 billion yen. It would be worth 10 billion US dollars. Kamayama Junsaburo swallowed his saliva. If he could get the earliest Buddha's head, he would be extremely rich. The earliest Buddha's head was carved from sandalwood during the Buddha's transformation period. Su Yun. There is a legend that Buddha went to the heavenly palace and didn't return for 3 months according to his birth mother, Madam Maya. At that time, the king of Mi Guayu worshipped Buddha so much that he fell ill. Therefore, he asked Venerable Mujianlian to bring the craftsman to the heavenly palace to see Buddha's head. The Buddha's head was made from sandalwood. It was 5 feet tall and stood in a standing position. Its right hand was holding the mudra of fearlessness and its left hand was holding the mudra of compassion. It was wearing a cassock and the front of its body was in a wavy pattern. "Where is this Buddha's head now?" Kamayama Junsaburo asked curiously. Su Yun pointed upwards. "You have to ask the people in the sky." "I really don't know." Kamayama Junsaburo laughed. "Mr. Su, you really know how to joke. That's just a legend." "Ha ha ha, I'm so funny. I actually believed it." President Kamayama, the legend might not be true, but it might not be false either. Su Yun, you should believe in Buddha. Otherwise, he will not bless you. I don't believe in Buddha. I only believe in myself. Kamayama Junsaburo said with certainty. "Buddha is not necessarily more powerful than me," Su Yun sighed. "You can't say things like that. President Kamayama, if Buddha hears you, he will definitely punish you." At this time, Lin Gu exerted some force on his wrist. The Oshima expert finally raised his head. "President Kamayama, this Buddha's head is quite old. It's really not simple." The Oshima expert's words were not ambiguous at all. It was completely out of Su Yun and Lin Ge's expectations. Their cooperation was too good. "According to my judgment, this Buddha's head is at least 1,000 years old. I don't dare to estimate its value." The Oshima expert said, 10 billion yen is far from its true value. Kamayama Junsaburo's face lit up when he heard this. Su Yun and Lin Gu also heaved a sigh of relief. This expert was very helpful. However, Nakata Kanzuya noticed that something was wrong with the Oshima expert. He also saw Lin Ji's hand that was controlling the Oshima expert. "President, it's a trap." Nakata Kanzuya suddenly roared and took out his gun to shoot at Lin Gu. Lin Ji's reaction was much faster than Nakata Kanzuya expected. He turned sideways and quickly pulled the Oshima expert aside. The bullet pierced through the expert's arm. Lin Gu was not hurt at all. This kind of sudden change would always slow down a person's reaction. Su Yun did not stop there. He immediately rushed towards Kamayama Junsaburo. Before the guns could aim at him, he controlled Kamayama Junsaburo and made him stand in front of him. Then, Su Yun quickly retreated and hid between Kamayama Junsaburo and the wall, completely blocking all the shooting routes. He was in a safe position. While everyone's attention was focused on Su Yun, Lin Gu imitated Su Yun's method. He used the Oshima expert as a meat shield and retreated to the wall. Everything happened so quickly that Kamayama Junsaburo did not even understand what was going on. However, the suffocating feeling Su Yun gave him made him realize that he was in trouble. "Tell your men to put down their guns," Su Yun shouted angrily. Other than the groaning of the Oshima expert, there was no other sound in the room. The atmosphere was eerily quiet. Chapter 2078. Kamayama Junsaburo was able to become the leader of the Yashiwakumi, so he was naturally someone who had been through a lot. Facing this kind of crisis, his reaction was naturally calmer than the others. Seeing that Kamayama Junsaburo didn't react, Su Yun increased the strength of his fingers. As long as he exerted a little more force, he could break Kamayama Junsaburo's neck. "Tell your people to put down their guns. This is the last warning," Su Yun said as he relaxed his grip, giving Kamayama Junsaburo a chance to breathe and speak. Kamayama Junsaburo took a deep breath. The lack of oxygen made him feel dizzy. "Put down your guns." Since the president had spoken, the Yashiwakumi naturally didn't dare to act rashly. However, in this situation, they didn't dare to give up on threatening Su Yun. At this moment, everyone's gaze was focused on Nakata Kanzuya. Nakata Kanzuya wasn't under their control, so he should be able to calmly give orders. "My words don't carry weight? You're aiming at me." Kamayama Junsaburo was slightly angry. At this time, he didn't want his subordinates to disobey him. Nakata Kanzuya was the first to put down his gun. Only then did the others follow suit and put down their weapons. "Su Yun, Kuin, what you're doing is meaningless." Kamayama Junsaburo saw that the tense atmosphere had eased a little, so he said lightly, "If anything happens to me, no one will be able to help you solve Okubo-san's problem." President Kamayama, you still have the time to think about other people's problems? Su Yun said, the truth will come out eventually. Even if you don't help Okubo-san, I can still think of other ways. But who will protect your life? Su Yun had to respond in a more forceful way. I'll give you 1 minute to think about it and then make the arrangements. Immediately order your people to follow the plan and send Okubo Ayumi to the police station. Clear Kiyomi's name. If I don't receive a call from her in 1 hour. You don't dare. Kamayama Junsaburo said, do you think you can leave alive if you kill me? Su Yun sneered, you have no way of knowing if I can leave this place alive. Because I can guarantee that you won't be able to live until then. Do you want to make a bet? Su Yun, Kun, you are indeed a capable person. Kamayama Junsaburo said, I have experienced many things in my life, but I have never been as uncertain as today. It's good that you know, Su Yun said. If you've made up your mind, then do what you have to do. As long as Okubo-san is safe, I guarantee that you will be safe as well. Do you think I can still trust you? Kamayama Junsaburo said, you have already lost my trust. Su Yun realized that this guy might not be as easy to deal with as he thought. I think I have the confidence to take the gamble. Kamayama Junsaburo said, I'm your last bargaining chip. You don't dare to do anything to me, right? Hearing Kamayama Junsaburo's words, his subordinates became alert again and prepared to use force. My men have already surrounded this place, Kamayama Junsaburo said. I have 1 life, 2 lives, and Okubo-san's freedom. Who do you think has more bargaining chips? This old fox is indeed not simple. He has no intention of cooperating with them. Su Yun, Kun, you disappoint me. Kamayama Junsaburo said, actually, I have already arranged everything. I only need a real Buddha's head to solve the problem. Why are you asking for trouble? I will also give you time to think about it. I have already arranged everything. If I don't call you in an hour, my men will destroy all the evidence against Okubo-san. By then, it will be too late. You won't even have the chance to regret it. President Kamayama, are you going to fall out with me? Su Yun said, seems like you don't care about your life. Kamayama Junsaburo sneered, my life in exchange for both of yours. What will you choose? Su Yun, Kun, save it. You risked your life to save Okubo-san. That means you are a righteous person. If you are the only one facing me today, I don't doubt that you will kill me. Kamayama Junsaburo paused and continued, but, your brothers are here today. Even if you don't think for yourself, you will think for your brothers. If you kill me, you will die here. This point really hit Su Yun's heart. Su Yun will indeed think about Lin Ji's safety. All of this had been seen through by this old fox. Su Yun felt that his trump cards were really getting fewer and fewer. Su Yun, Kun, think carefully. What do you want to do? Kamayama Junsaburo said, do you think the hostage in your brother's hands means anything? I only need to say a word now, and my people will be able to break through his meat shield. And I believe that even if I do that, you will not dare to attack me. Because Okubo-san's matter is not solved yet. This guy was very good at studying people's psychology. Su Yun could not do anything in front of him. President Kamayama, you can't do this. You have to guarantee my safety. Mr. Oshima was scared out of his wits. His life was worthless in the eyes of the other party. Kamayama Junsaburo laughed. I can't even guarantee my own safety, how can I guarantee yours? President Kamayama, don't be so smart. Su Yun said, how can you exchange your life for mine? Who gave you such confidence? Did you arrange these men inside and outside? Of course. Kamayama Junsaburo said, I know you are strong, but I also know that 2 fists cannot fight 4 hands. You will not be able to escape from my encirclement safely. What if your men are all disabled? Su Yun asked again. Kamayama Junsaburo was dazed. That was impossible. There were 20 people in the room, and there were more than 10 outside. He had arranged hundreds of people around the club. Unless Su Yun had hundreds of people to fight against him, there was no way they could escape. Just as Kamayama Junsaburo was hesitating, gunshots were heard from outside. The cries of hundreds of people soon filled the entire club. The intense gunshots lasted for more than 3 minutes. Kamayama Junsaburo's mood became more and more gloomy. What was happening outside? Nakata Kanzuya wanted to take his men out to have a look, but the situation did not allow him to leave. Soon, the two of them knew what was going on outside. After the gunshots outside the room, the people who started the fight had already rushed in. Bang! The door was kicked open. The two figures did not avoid the bodyguards with guns in the room and directly rushed in. Behind them, more than a dozen people quickly rushed in and confronted the bodyguards in the room with guns. The two leaders were the two weirdos, Wu Hao and Luo Tuesday. In fact, the two of them still did not understand how Su Yun found them, but since Su Yun came looking for them for help, the two of them naturally did not dare to refuse. If Su Yun could find them once, he could find them twice. They did not dare to offend Su Yun. After hearing Su Yun's request, Wu Hao and Luo Tu borrowed more than 100 people from the famous Yamaguchi-gumi. The leader of the Yamaguchi-gumi was more than happy to help them. Wu Hao and Luo Tu could help them a lot in the future. The Yamaguchi-gumi had tens of thousands of members, so they would not be stingy with just 100 people. Not only did they provide the people, they also provided weapons. Wu Hao and Luo Tu did everything according to Su Yun's plan. Su Yun's car was equipped with a GPS, so it was easy for them to find this place. With more than 100 people, they launched a sneak attack. Their weapons were better, so they killed all of Kamayama Junsaburo's men in less than 3 minutes. Everything happened too suddenly for Kamayama Junsaburo, but it was not surprising for Su Yun. Everything was going according to his plan. In other words, Su Yun had thought of this a long time ago. Everything was prepared for the unexpected. That was why he could face everything calmly. Chapter 2079. Kamayama Junsaburo didn't expect that everything would happen so suddenly. It was so sudden that he couldn't accept it at all. Mr. Yun, we're not late, right? Luo Tu saw that Su Yun had Kamayama Junsaburo under his control. He knew it must have been a close call. Otherwise, Kamayama Junsaburo wouldn't have fallen into Su Yun's hands. Luckily, they came in time. Su Yun smiled. You're not late at all. Just in time. Thanks, bro. Master Yun, look at what you're saying. It's our duty to serve you. Wu Hao's flattery immediately followed. It's our honor. Mr. Yun, please don't be so polite. We can't accept it. I'm really grateful. Su Yun, if you didn't come in time, Mr. Kamayama wouldn't have cooperated with me. I'm in a bad situation. Wu Hao stared at Kamayama Junsaburo. They were familiar with each other. He had helped Kamayama Junsaburo a lot. Kamayama Junsaburo personally invited the two of them to harass the Okubo family's construction site, but Kamayama Junsaburo didn't expect that the two of them would give up halfway because of Su Yun's appearance. What made Kamayama Junsaburo even more unbelievable was that they brought people to help Su Yun deal with him. And they brought so many people. Mr. Kamayama, you've disappointed me. Luo Tu said, after the last incident, you called me and asked why I left. I told you that you couldn't afford to offend someone you shouldn't. I didn't expect you to not believe me and continue to provoke Mr. Yun. You're really something. Mr. Luo, Mr. Wu, we've known each other for a long time. You can't be so ruthless, right? Kamayama Junsaburo said, you brought people to clear my place. Mr. Kamayama, they're all brothers of Yamaguchi-gumi. If you think you can afford to offend them, go ahead. Wu Hao said, but let me tell you, if you don't handle Mr. Yun's matter well, it won't just be you and your brother's misfortune. Luo Tu sneered, yeah, think about your wife and children. You should know what to do. If you die, do you think they'll have a good life? Kamayama Junsaburo's expression changed. He knew that Yamaguchi-gumi didn't care about what they did. If he died, his family would be in trouble too. It was an open secret that Yamaguchi-gumi's eldest daughter. If Kamayama Junsaburo, he would have done it already. Kamayama, Kamayama Junsaburo's s. Kamayama Junsaburo's minds SSSS. BTS not kill, estes, s. Teat. Tites heat tites get, tease. Things were out of his control, and he couldn't take it anymore. Have you thought it through? Mr. Yun doesn't have that much patience, Luo-tu said. Give me an answer, and I'll let you go. Su Yun smiled and said, Mr. Kamayama, it seems like you don't have any other choice. Ah, good. Kamayama Junsaburo's expression darkened. I really don't have any other choice. As you wish, Ms. Okubo will return home safe and sound tonight. Under Su Yun's order, Lin Gu threw the injured expert aside, walked to the table, and gave Kamayama Junsaburo's phone. Kamayama Junsaburo took the phone, took a deep breath, and dialed a number. Mr. Kamayama, your orders, the person on the other side of the phone said. Hand over the evidence you prepared to the police station and let the arranged lawyer talk to the other party. You have to bail Miss Okubo out as soon as possible. Kamayama Junsaburo said, also, Okubo-e is no longer useful. Hand her over to the police. Yes. I understand, Mr. Kamayama. Kamayama Junsaburo was unwilling to give up. After Ms. Okubo is released, tell her to call Su Yun-san immediately. Hurry up and do your job. Yes. After giving the order, Kamayama Junsaburo looked at Su Yun. Su Yun-san, are you satisfied with the result? Very satisfied. Su Yun said, but before I receive the call, I'll have to trouble you for a while. Humph. Kamayama Junsaburo wanted to pretend that he didn't care, but his voice was filled with helplessness and anger. He had never felt so defeated before, and he couldn't accept it even now. For so many years, Kamayama Junsaburo had always been scheming against others, and it was always others who walked into his trap. He had never been completely fooled like today. Ever since he met Su Yun had set up a huge trap for him. Everything in this trap was built around Kamayama Junsaburo, so a few minutes ago, Kamayama Junsaburo thought that everything was under his control. But now he had completely lost control, and could only be slaughtered. Mr. Kamayama, this is fate, Wu Hao said. It's not necessarily a bad thing for you that things can end today. If you really pissed off Mr. Yun, the consequences would be even worse. At least, you're still alive, so be grateful. Kamayama Junsaburo sneered, then I should really thank Su Yun-san for giving me a chance. Mr. Kamayama, you have to fight for your own opportunities, Su Yun said. It's hard to say who caused this situation. But there's one thing I really want to thank you for. If you didn't help to capture Okubo Arichi and collect all the evidence, I really don't know who could help Miss Okubo clear her name. Is this how you thank me? No one could understand Kamayama Junsaburo's feelings. He was struggling too much. I left you a way out. I didn't kill you all. Su Yun said, otherwise, do you think we would still be able to talk on equal terms? Your family might have been taken away by Yamaguchi's people. Luo-tu said, Kamayama, you should really thank Mr. Yun. When Yamaguchi knew you were in trouble, he didn't plan to let you live. He really wanted to kill your family. It was our Master Yun who warned us not to let Team Leader Yamaguchi do that. If Team Leader Yamaguchi does that, the two of us will suffer. Yes, Wu Hao said, that's why we did everything we could to protect your family. We didn't let Yamaguchi do anything. We did all this to give face to Mr. Yun. Otherwise, you wouldn't have ended so simply. Kamayama Junsaburo looked at Su Yun in disbelief. He felt that Su Yun was the one who caused him to lose everything. How could Su Yun help him again? Impossible, this was definitely impossible, right? Don't harm my family. Su Yun said, this is the rule in our world. Although Dongying doesn't seem to have this rule, I have to follow it. After all, I'm from Hua Xia. Furthermore, you have more or less helped me in this matter. President Kamayama, we don't owe each other anything now. So, don't play any tricks. Kamayama Junsaburo sneered, don't harm my family. Well said. But I really don't want to thank you at all. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have ended up like this. This time, the Iha society suffered a great loss. They suffered a heavy blow in all aspects, especially their social status. After today, the Iha society would never be able to raise their heads in front of the Yamaguchi-gumi. Especially Kamayama Junsaburo, he would never be valued by the Abe family. Once they lost the protection of the political family, what future would the Iha society have? They would probably lose everything. After all, there were many mafia organizations like his in Dongying. After Kamayama Junsaburo lost his advantage, he would have nothing. Chapter 2080. The wait was torturous, and Kamayama Junsaburo's patience was wearing thin bit by bit. He trusted the efficiency of his subordinates, but it was only because of the tedious procedures that needed to be done. Finally, Su-yun received a call from Okubo Chiyami. She sounded surprised. "Su-yun, how did you do it?" She couldn't believe that she had been exonerated just like that. She had been under strict surveillance for the past 2 days, and she hadn't even had the opportunity to see a lawyer. The police didn't allow her to have any contact with outsiders before certain things were confirmed. Under such circumstances, Okubo Chiyami received the news that she was cleared of all charges. She couldn't believe it. The people waiting for Okubo Chiyami outside were from the Iha Kai. They asked her to contact Su-yun immediately. She was surprised when she found out that it was Su-yun who had done all this. Her driver has already been waiting to pick her up according to Su-yun's instructions. After receiving Okubo Chimi, the driver who has been with her for many years finally breathed a sigh of relief. "Go home first. I'll explain it to you later," Su-yun said. "I still have some things to take care of here." "Okay, I'll wait for you." Okubo Chimi nodded. Now, she would obey everything Su-yun said to her without any reason. Su-yun was simply a miracle to her. After hanging up, Su-yun relaxed a lot. President Kamayama is indeed capable. "I really have to thank you for this. I won't have dinner tonight. If there's a chance, I'll treat you." Kamayama Junsaburo suppressed his anger and smiled. "You're welcome." "I still have things to do, so I'll leave first," Su-yun said. "I'll leave the rest to you too. You must send President Kamayama home personally and take care of the injured members of the Iha Kai. Don't make things difficult for President Kamayama." "Don't worry, Mr. Yun. We'll take care of the rest." Luo Tu patted his chest and said. Wu Hao also nodded confidently. "We won't let you down." "Thank you for your help today." Su-yun smiled. He was really grateful to these two people. "Keep in touch in the future. If there's anything you need my help with, don't hesitate to ask." The two of them were flattered and nodded vigorously. Before he left, Su-yun suddenly thought of something. He pointed at the Buddha's head and said to Kamayama Junsaburo, "President Kamayama, I think you should trust Buddha in the future. Maybe he will bless you in the future. Today, you didn't believe him, so you ended up like this. I'll give you the Buddha's head. Remember to burn incense and worship it on the 1st and 15th day of every month." Kamayama Junsaburo's expression changed. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. "I will definitely worship the Buddha head. I will remember this lesson for the rest of my life." "President Tortoise Mountain, are you still holding a grudge? That's not good." Wu Hao said, "You better not have any other ideas. Otherwise, us two brothers will never forgive you. You two really think highly of me. I don't dare to hold a grudge against Su-yun-san." Kamayama Junsaburo said, "Su-yun-san gave me such a vivid lesson. I can't thank him enough." Luo Tu said with satisfaction, "That's right. President Kamayama, we are still friends. Mr. Yun has already told us that he is truly grateful for everything you did for Ms. Okubo. Therefore, we will not make things difficult for President Kamayama in the future. However, the condition is that President Kamayama does not mess with the Okubo family anymore." Kamayama Junsaburo said, "Of course not." Su-yun waved goodbye to everyone and left with Lin Gu. They hurried to the Okubo family's house. After Su-yun left, Kamayama Junsaburo finally calmed down. Everything was over. He knew that he had lost completely, and he was convinced of his loss. President Kamayama, let's go. We will send you home. I believe that Mr. Nakata will take care of the injured brothers here. Luo too smiled and looked at Nakata Kanzuya, who was still depressed. Mr. Nakata, is everything all right? Nakata Kanzuya nodded awkwardly. No problem. President. You should go back and rest. I will take care of things here. If it wasn't for his incompetence, things wouldn't have turned out this way. Nakata Kanzuya still blamed himself. He felt that he had let Kamayama Junsaburo down. Kamayama Junsaburo had always trusted Nakata Kanzuya. However, Nakata Kanzuya couldn't do anything about what had happened today. He could only be a bystander and watch everything that had happened beyond his control. He felt that he was a failure. He had always thought that he was invincible and that he could do anything. But today he realized that he was still far from it, far, far from it. He thought that he was invincible because his opponents were too weak. However, after meeting a strong opponent, he realized that he was nothing. Nakata, it's not your fault. Don't blame yourself. Kamayama Junsaburo could see the sadness in his subordinate's heart. We should learn from our mistakes. In the future, we should know what kind of people we can't mess with. President Kamayama, you're so reasonable. Wu Hao smiled. Kamayama Junsaburo said helplessly, actually, I should have thought it through. I shouldn't have messed with someone who even you two didn't dare to fight and ran away. I overestimated my power. I'm not as strong as I thought. Wu Hao glanced at Kamayama Junsaburo. That's right. You shouldn't have messed with him. President Kamayama, it's not that Yiwa society isn't strong enough. It's that you shouldn't have messed with Mr. Yun. If I had thought it through, I wouldn't have ended up like this. Kamayama Junsaburo smiled bitterly. He had wasted so much energy and now he had lost everything. Don't regret helping Ms. Okubo. Luo too could see that Kamayama Junsaburo was disappointed. Even if you didn't do it, Mr. Yun would have solved it sooner or later. If that happened, you wouldn't have done him any favors. Do you think he would have let you go so easily? Kamayama Junsaburo was dazed. He looked at the Buddha's head. It seemed that everything in the world was just like what Buddha said. Karma was the cycle of cause and effect. The reason why he was still alive today was because of the fruit he had planted. Kamayama Junsaburo thought it through and took a deep breath. He didn't lose anything. Everything he did was an apology to the Okubo family. After all, he had harassed the Okubo family's construction site many times. If the Abe family wanted him to mess with the Okubo family in the future, he wouldn't dare to help them anymore. It didn't matter even if the Abe family didn't protect him anymore. After this, he felt that Yiwa society should stop and think about their future. If they continued to be so arrogant, they would be finished sooner or later. Thank you for waking me up today and letting me know what kind of person I, Kamayama Junsaburo, am. Kamayama Junsaburo said from the bottom of his heart. Yiwa society is only a small force. It's far from enough. Ha ha ha, thank you for helping me stop Yamaguchi from messing with my family. Thank you. Don't be so sentimental. I'll send you home. We still need to go back and report to Yamaguchi. Luo too clapped his hands and interrupted Kamayama Junsaburo. Let's go. Chapter 2081. When Su-Yun and Lin Gu rushed back to Okubo's house, Okubo Chiami had been waiting at the door. When she saw her superhero appear in front of her, she couldn't hide her joy as a little woman. When Su-Yun stopped the car, Okubo Chiami rushed up and hugged Su-Yun fiercely without caring about other people's gazes. That kind of gratitude could not be described with words. She really thought that she would fall into an abyss of no return. She really did not expect Su-Yun to be able to win such a victory in Japan, which was an unfamiliar place, and in such a short period of time. What kind of method did you use? Kamayama Junsaburo actually helped you? Okubo Chiami was so excited that she was a little incoherent. Has my brother been escorted in? Their people told me that the evidence was conclusive. How did you do it? Su Yun smiled. This was really a long story. Sometimes, when something was in a completely unfavorable situation, only psychological warfare could be used. Now Su Yun was very glad that he studied psychology well. If he didn't study psychology well, this matter really couldn't be solved. This is quite simple. Lin Gu smiled. I used the Buddha's head to exchange for you. When she heard Lin Ji's words, Okubo Kiyomi's previous joy disappeared. She couldn't accept that the Buddha's head was exchanged for her. Right, why was Lin Gu here? Did he bring the Buddha's head back? You. How could you be so stupid to do this? Did you really not think about the value of the Buddha's head? Okubo Kiyomi was shocked and even a little angry, but she also knew that if this was true, it was all because of her. She had no reason to vent her anger on Su Yun and the others. We did, but that son of a B*TCH personally told my brother that he had to help us get you out and send the real culprit in. He wanted the Buddha's head, Lin Gu said. We had no other choice. Okubo Chimi felt a sudden heartache. It wasn't easy to send the Buddha's head back safely. All right, don't listen to him. Su Yun said, it's true that I exchanged it with a Buddha head, but I exchanged it with a modern carved stone Buddha head. Okubo Kiyomi was dumbfounded. Was this even possible? When she finished listening to Su Yun's explanation of what had happened, she came to a sudden realization and let out a deep sigh of relief. This damn Lin Gu, he had almost scared her to death just now. Now that the matter has been resolved, Su Yun said, you don't have to worry about anything anymore. I believe that your brothers will soon come and apologize to you. Okubo Chimi was so grateful that she didn't know what to do. She grabbed Su Yun's arm and said, I don't know how to thank you. Miss Chen Mei, I don't mind how you thank my brother. But shouldn't you also thank me? Lin Gu said, I'm also someone who didn't hesitate to come back and cooperate with this matter. I haven't eaten for 7 or 8 hours. I'm very hungry now. I just want to eat and drink. Okubo Chimi smiled embarrassedly. She was too excited. In fact, she had asked someone to prepare dinner when she got home. She hadn't eaten well in the past 2 days and was quite hungry. It was just that before Su Yun and the others returned safely, she really didn't have the appetite. Now that everything was over, she could have a comfortable meal and enjoy the joy of victory. Let's go and eat now. Okubo Chimi said, I know that you've been in Japan for so many days and might feel uncomfortable eating Japanese food all the time, so I specially prepared Chinese food today. That's really great. Su Yun, it would be best to have some braised pork ribs and dompa pork. Of course, it would be perfect if there was some Hua Xia white wine. The rice wine in Japan was really not good. Su Yun didn't like it at all. This Chinese dinner was very rich. The dishes were all essential dishes in Chinese restaurants all over the world. It was also a necessary skill for chefs who learned Chinese food abroad. Sweet and sour pork tenderloin, kung pao chicken, yuxiang shredded pork, mapo tofu, shrimps, cashews, spring rolls, dumplings. Although these were the most simple things that could be eaten in the streets of Huaxia, eating them here really had a different flavor. Miss Chimi, I'm really a little tired today. I won't chat with you anymore. After Lin Gu ate and drank to his heart's content, he got up and said. He rushed to get off the ship at Beijing Tianjin port and directly got into the car arranged by Wan Guangxiao. He was sent directly to the airport. After flying to Japan, he immediately got into Su Yun's car. This was definitely more hurried than a tourist group. Lin Gu would rather run dozens of kilometers than sit for so long. Moreover, he didn't have a good rest, which made him very tired. Go and sleep first. Su Yun understood his tiredness. But don't snore at night. Otherwise, I'll kick you. Then don't share a room with me. Lin Gu said, it's best if you share a room with Miss Chimi. I won't disturb you and you won't disturb me. Scram. Su Yun directly scolded this little brat away. At this time, Su Yun and Chiaki were also full. Chiaki Okubo could see that Lin Gu wasn't the only one who was tired these days. Su Yun was also a bit haggard. After all, he had to find Wu Hao and Luo Tu in such a short time and arrange so many things. He must be mentally and physically exhausted. You must be very tired. Go to my hot spring and relax, Okubo Chimi said. Su Yun smiled. Although it was definitely a relaxing enjoyment, he was afraid that people would gossip about Chimi. That's not very good. There's nothing to worry about. I don't care what others say at all. A man of integrity is not afraid of crooked shadows. Okubo Chimi said, also, I really want to talk to you, because I know that you helped me solve all the problems, and it's really time to leave. Seeing Okubo Chimi's somewhat sad eyes, Su Yun really couldn't bear to reject her last request. It was good to talk to her. This girl who was only in her 20s had already exceeded her ability to bear. He believed that after this, she would be stronger. And under this strength, she still needed someone to help her and inject courage into her heart. Yes, that's right. A man of integrity is not afraid of crooked shadows. Su Yun, let's go, then I won't be polite. I've been really tired these 2 days. Then Okubo Chimi asked someone to find loose shorts for Su Yun. Su Yun once again borrowed Okubo Chimi's hot spring pool. But seriously, these shorts didn't have much meaning. Once soaked in water, the transparency could reach more than 80%. This time, Su Yun didn't seem to fully understand Okubo Chimi's meaning. A few minutes after he entered the hot spring pool, Okubo Chimi also walked in wrapped in a bath towel. Oh my god! Is this the rhythm of sharing a bath? Su Yun was stunned for a long time and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. It seemed to be the rhythm. He didn't understand it like this before. Now that he thought about it, in fact, Chimi made it very clear that she wanted to chat with him. Forget it, I shouldn't look at what I shouldn't look at, and I shouldn't think about what I shouldn't think about. Su Yun was also a gentleman. He would never take advantage of people's difficulties, unless they took the initiative to attack. It's over. When I was first caught, I really couldn't believe that I would have the chance to enjoy life here. After Okubo Chimi got into the water, she took off her bath towel without hesitation. Although the light inside was dim, Su Yun could still vaguely see some things he shouldn't see. Chapter 2082. I really don't want you to go. Okubo Chimi smiled. She felt Su Yun's embarrassment, but today she really wanted to leave a last memory with this man. Okubo Chimi knew very well that if Su Yun left, it might mean that it would be the last time they would see each other. Yes, Su Yun promised her that if she went to Huaxia, she could find him at any time. He would definitely meet her and accompany her to the places she wanted to go in Huaxia. But the current situation seemed to make it impossible for Okubo Chimi to have the time to relax in Huaxia in a short time. Everything in the family couldn't leave her. Those promises were imaginary, but reality didn't allow it. Although she got her innocence back this time, after all, something happened to the family. Okubo Arichi's behavior had a bad impact on the Okubo family. It would take at least 3 to 5 years for Chimi to completely solve this bad impact. Facing a partner who could cancel their cooperation at any time, Okubo Chimi would have to invest more energy to maintain it than she had in the past 2 years. Moreover, after this incident, she believed that the Okubo family would soon give Chimi a proper status and reputation. The others would definitely compromise, and after that, Okubo Chimi would really be in a position of power. At that time, how could she have time to see Su Yun? Therefore, this separation could last for 3 to 5 years if it was short, or a lifetime if it was long. After all, Su Yun had his own career and his own things to deal with. Even if he would fulfill his promise to Chimi, Chimi didn't want to disturb him when he didn't have time. There were too many coincidences in the world, and this separation was really hard for Okubo Chimi. The world is so small. There will always be a chance to meet again. Su Yun smiled. Maybe I'll come to Dongying again in a few days. Liar. Okubo Chimi said playfully. Su Yun smiled slightly. Yes, this is a bit fake. But even if I really come, I'm afraid you won't have time. Such a big clan will be on your shoulders in the future. Don't you feel that it's especially hard? Okubo Chiaki shook her head. If it was before, I would have found it particularly difficult. But I don't know why, but after I met you, I suddenly felt that it wasn't so hard anymore. Su-yun smiled faintly. He didn't know what to say. Why do you think this is? Okubo asked. Su-yun thought for a moment and said, maybe it's because your heart has grown stronger, right? People will always grow. You have experienced so much in such a short period of time. Naturally, you will grow a lot. Your mind has matured, so you won't feel tired anymore. Okubo Chimi didn't speak. She looked up at the stars in the sky. Is that so? Had she really become more mature? She didn't think so. She felt that she was still the Qian Mei she was familiar with. However, she was less cowardly and more unyielding. She dared to do the things that she didn't dare to do in the past because of family ties. She dared to say the things that she didn't dare to say in the past because of family ties. In the past, she always had a lot of concerns when she wanted to do things. She would think about many things. But now, she didn't have so many concerns. When the guard was confirmed dead, she thought about a lot of things. A person's life was short, really short. Even if there were no accidents or diseases in one's life, and they were healthy, it was only 100 years. And in this 100 years, the most precious youth was only a moment. If she couldn't do what she wanted at this time, and still had to worry about so many things, then what was the meaning of her life? Who did she live for? Su-yun's appearance made Okubo Chimi understand a problem. She didn't live for her family, nor for her parents, nor for these unreliable brothers and sisters. She, Okubo Chimi, wanted to live for herself. To do what she thought was right, to like the person she liked, to leave the madness in her youth, to dare to love and hate, to do what she thought was right. Even if no one thought it was right, as long as she thought it was right, she would do it. Many people said, if we don't go crazy, we'll be old. Do what you want to do. How many people had this courage? How many people lived for the normal life in everyone's eyes, not for the pursuit, for happiness, for what they wanted to do? Those who studied hard every day from childhood to grow up to be civil servants, was this the life they wanted? This was just what everyone thought was normal. Those who wanted to buy a car but were worried about the price, worried about the feelings of their family, worried about how others looked at them, was this the attitude they wanted? These were all small examples. Too many people made the right judgment about a matter for the right thing in other people's eyes, and often couldn't make the right judgment. Su-yun, tell me, should I let go of everything and be the person I want to be? Okubo Chimi said. Su-yun nodded. Of course, only when you let go of everything and be the person you want to be, your life will be meaningful. You are more charming and charming. You are you, and no one can replace you. Are you sure you're not saying this to make me happy? Okubo Chimi said, Su-yun, I want you to remember me. Remember me with your heart. I will. Su-yun said, you helped me so much, how can I forget you? Without Okubo Chimi, there would be no Buddha's head to return to China. Su-yun certainly wouldn't forget this. I'm not saying that you will remember me just because of this. Okubo Chimi said, I want you to remember me because of me. After saying this, Okubo Chimi directly put her body close to Su-yun. Even in the hot spring, Su-yun still felt a chill. After all, he was a man. When some things were placed in front of him, he couldn't refuse. For a woman that Su-yun himself appreciated, he naturally couldn't refuse. If this matter was wrong, then Su-yun shouldn't have been so close to Okubo Chimi in the first place. When they were so close in the beginning, today's things were destined to happen. When Okubo Chimi helped Su-yun smoothly send away the Buddha's head, when Su-yun helped Chimi smoothly solve the problem, everything that happened now was natural. Sometimes, the feelings between a man and a woman were always inadvertent, and a flash of fire could easily ignite this dry firewood. The splashing sound of the water in the hot spring was like a catalyst for the feelings between men and women. Everything that should happen happened. Su-yun didn't know if he would regret it later, but he didn't think so much at this moment. Just like Okubo Chimi wanted to be the most authentic version of herself, they were just being the most authentic version of themselves at this moment, moving according to their hearts, that's all. Perhaps this wasn't a real feeling, but it wasn't that kind of abnormal feeling either. There was always such a moment in the world, a feeling that was above friendship and below love. No one could explain this kind of thing clearly. Sometimes some people restrained themselves, and sometimes some people didn't. It was that simple. Chimi knew that this was the last time she and Su-yun would have. She wanted to be crazy as she could be, without any worries. Chapter 2083. What had to be faced eventually. After waking up the next day, Lin Gu conveyed the chief's words to Su-yun. The chief's meaning was very clear. He hoped that Su-yun wouldn't stay in Dongying for too long. The relationship between Dongying's political families, mafia families, and samurai families was very messy. It was definitely not something that Su-yun could change in a short period of time by himself. Therefore, the Okubo family would always be in trouble, and Su-yun couldn't stay here forever to help Okubo Chimi deal with it. Most of the things still needed to be dealt with by Okubo Chimi herself. Su-yun was naturally aware of this situation. Fortunately, he had already told Wu Hao and Luo Tu that the Okubo family's matters would be their business in the future. They still cared about Su-yun's words. Everything that happened next was as Su-yun expected. After the other members of the Okubo family learned that Okubo Arichi was convicted and that Chimi was innocent, they all appeared at home again. Too many things had happened in the past few days, and it was obviously beyond what they could bear. It was hard for them to imagine how things had turned out like this. In a short period of time, the Okubo gods were killed, and Okubo Arichi, who harmed them, also suffered the consequences of his own actions. All the evidence now pointed to him being an intentional murderer. This would at least sentence him to life in prison, and he wouldn't be able to come out in the future. Even if Chimi was willing to find him the best lawyer and think of a way to let him be lenient, it would be at least 20 years before he could come out. 20 years. How big was the change in 20 years? No one could believe what would happen 20 years later. Even if he could come out, he would be completely out of touch with society. Imagine those people who went in 20 years ago. What would they know if they came out now? They didn't even know that this society used to have pagers, and it was even more impossible for them to know that the most popular thing in this society 10 years ago was Nokia, and not the current iPhone N. Therefore, Okubo Arichi was already crippled. Whether he had the chance to come out in the future or not, he was already a cripple. Such a person obviously wouldn't be able to make any waves in the Okubo clan, so everyone was very clear that the person they needed the most right now was Kayumi, and the person they had to obey was Kayumi. After Okubo Chiyami came out, she didn't argue with Okubo Kawata and Okubo Mizuki. She was already very magnanimous. According to the current situation, Okubo Kawata and Okubo Mizuki were very clear about their situation. As long as Chen Mei said a few words, they would be taken away by the police again for investigation. If they were found to be conspirators, they would face 3 to 5 years in prison. Going to jail was not a fun thing. Many people in the underworld always thought that going to jail was a capital, something worth showing off. But when they really went to jail, they would know what it was like. There weren't many good people in prison. Unless your fists were strong enough, your connections were strong enough, and your money was strong enough. Otherwise, your life in prison was even more miserable. How many people had their chrysanthemums been destroyed? How many people had their faces washed with tears? Even in this society full of sunshine, there were so many dark things happening every day, not to mention in the dark prison. Therefore, the purpose of Okubo Kawata and Okubo Mizuki coming here today was very simple. They wanted to apologize. They hoped to get Chenmei's forgiveness and give them a chance to be a new person. She didn't want them to go to jail. Okubo Mauna had the same idea when she returned home. She knew that she was involved in the conspiracy. Although she wasn't present when Okubo bodyguard Dong was murdered, she was involved in the whole thing. Okubo Mauna completely knew what kind of person Su-yun was. With her shrewdness, it was impossible for her to play with Su-yun. If it wasn't for Su Yun being merciful and giving her face, he only needed to say a word in front of Kamayama, and her end might be worse than anyone else. Moreover, she also heard what happened yesterday. Kamayama, the president of the Iha Kai, was completely convinced by him. Who the hell is this guy? Are you from the stars? Does he have a superpower? He actually planned and controlled the whole situation. Qianmei was able to get out of prison smoothly, and Okubo Arichi was completely finished. Everything was controlled by director Su Yun. At first, she actually thought that she controlled Su Yun. Now that she thought about it, it was really ridiculous. After the three of them came back, they clearly expressed their inner thoughts and sincerely apologized to Qianmei, hoping to get her forgiveness. Okubo Mauna remembered what Su Yun said. A family must have a family to have a clan. If she was the only member of the Okubo family, they wouldn't be treated as a family in the eyes of outsiders. In the end, Qianmei chose to forgive them. She forgave their ignorance and sins and chose to be tolerant. The other three also clearly knew that they could no longer be as unscrupulous as they were in the past. They were very clear that today's compromise was acknowledging Qianmei's position in the Okubo family. In the future, they must obey all of Qianmei's arrangements. This was fate. Seeing that everything was fine with Okubo Mauna, Su Yun was relieved. Lin Gu urged Su Yun to leave. He had proof from the bureau chief, and the bureau chief had already contacted the person in charge of Hua Xia's embassy in Tokyo. Now they needed to go to the embassy to ask for help. The people in the embassy had also agreed to the bureau chief's request. After they came, they would arrange a plane for them to return home as soon as possible. They would also get their IDs and eliminate all unfavorable factors. I should go. The pigeon has already contacted the leaders in the embassy. If I don't go now, I'll keep them waiting. Although he didn't want to say goodbye, he still had to say goodbye. Su Yun smiled and said, "Remember our agreement. Run your family well and cultivate your brothers and sisters. Then you'll have time to travel to Hua Xia." Okubo Mauna thought a lot about the situation after hearing Su Yun's words. Would she be excited, devastated, or in pain? She imagined it all. However, when this moment really happened, she found that she was calm. Yes, she was very calm, so calm that she was in a mess. She felt that these days were like a dream, and when she woke up from the dream, no matter how unwilling she was, she could finally calmly accept the fact that it was a dream. "I'll take you to the embassy." Qianmei smiled slightly, and her calm performance made Su Yun very satisfied. Su Yun knew that she had matured. After all this, no one would not change. This kind of rapid growth experience always made people mature quickly, which was a good thing for Qianmei. "Okay, you can take us." Su Yun didn't refuse. This was the last thing that Qianmei thought she could do for him. Of course, he wouldn't refuse a girl's last kindness. When the car left the embassy, Su Yun really felt a little reluctant in his heart. "Brother, the chief knows you well. He's afraid that if you stay here for too long, your heart will sink deeper, and you will be more reluctant to leave." Lin Gu said, "If you really don't want to leave, then let's stay for another day. Don't talk so much nonsense." Su Yun said, "Go back to the country as soon as you're done. This is the chief's order. I'll stay and do all this. That's the favor I should return to Qianmei. I'll help her do this for Hua Xia's material and cultural heritage. She helped us without hesitation, so I have to help her too. Do you understand?" Lin Gu nodded. Although Su Yun's words were a little profound, it did sound like the case. On the way out, Qianmei still couldn't control her tears. Although she told herself again and again not to be sad, it wasn't a life and death separation. But in the end, she still couldn't hold it in. This feeling was really touched by a life and death separation. "Goodbye, hero in my heart." It was simply impossible for people to live normally. The cement roads in the village were also crushed beyond recognition by the trucks. It was really unbearable. The two of them stopped the car and quickly returned home. Mother Ruan was feeding Father Ruan medicine. When she saw her daughter and son-in-law arrive, tears instantly streamed down her face. "Mom, I'm late." Ruan Qingshuang felt sorry for her mother. When she saw her father lying on the bed injured, her heart ached even more. "What happened?" "Old woman, don't cry. I'm fine. If you cry, the children will be worried." Mother Ruan frowned and said to her daughter, "Qingshuang, don't worry. I'm fine. Your mom just likes to make a fuss about nothing." Ruan Qingshuang's heart was filled with guilt and apology. She didn't know what to say. In comparison, Su Yun was calmer. He saw that although Ruan Qingshuang's father was injured and had a cast on his arm and ankle, he was still in good spirits. This made him feel relieved. The old man had been doing farm work his whole life, so his body was still quite strong. Although it wasn't easy to recover from injuries, as long as there weren't any fatal internal injuries, it would be fine. "Go get some water for little Sue." Mother Ruan was really angry. This old woman didn't have any eyesight at all. This son-in-law was an important guest. How could she neglect him? Besides, looking at everything they had now, wasn't it all because of Su Yun? If it weren't for her daughter's good fortune to meet such a good man like Su Yun, how could their family live in such a big house? Upstairs and downstairs. Look at the big sofa outside. It could seat more than 10 people. It was made of genuine leather. At first, he thought that such a big sofa would cost thousands of yuan. Later, he heard from the younger generation in the village who sold furniture outside that such a big sofa would cost at least 2 or 3 big figures. My goodness, 20 to 30,000 yuan was a number that Mother Ruan didn't even dare to think about. Old Ruan knew very well that it was all because they had such a good son-in-law. Although her daughter had said many times that they were still young and should focus on their careers. Marriage wasn't considered for the time being. Mother Ruan treated Su Yun as her son-in-law from the bottom of her heart. "Look at me. I'm confused." Mother Ruan quickly got up. Uncle, auntie, why are you so polite to me?" Su Yun quickly got up. "I came here and treated this place as my own home. If I was thirsty, I would have gone to get some water. Hurry up and sit down. Tell me what's going on." Su Yun stopped Nanny Ruan. Right now, he only wanted to know what was going on outside the village. Why did it seem like a mountain-clearing army had arrived, causing the entire village to be in a foul atmosphere? Just the dust alone was 100 times worse than the smog in Yanjing. There was simply no way for people to live here. Mother Ruan sighed. It's all because of the big boss of the company. The situation now. I can't explain it clearly in a few words. I'll call old Zhang's son to come over and tell you. He went to a technical secondary school outside and is cultured. He can explain it clearly. Su Yun nodded. He had to figure out the root cause of the matter first before he could deal with it. Mother Ruan flipped through her phone for a long time before she found it. He quickly called old Zhang and told him that his daughter was back. There was pride in his voice. He also said that little Sue was also here. Someone was in charge of this matter. He asked his son to come over and tell him about it. Speaking of little Sue, or Su Yun, he was definitely a mythical figure in their village. Who didn't know how many good things Su Yun had done for their village? He had forked out money to widen the main road, found a way to get street lamps, and even forked out money to rebuild the dilapidated primary school in the village. Su Yun was a well-known figure in their village. Even the village branch secretary, Old Lu, didn't dare to say the word coward in front of Su Yun. Whoever dared to say something bad about Su Yun would cause public outrage. When old Zhang heard that Su Yun was here, he was so excited that he almost threw away his crutches. His leg was also injured, and now he was sulking all day long. When he heard this news, he knew that someone was in charge of their village. Su Yun was capable. Perhaps he could directly teach the big boss a lesson. After hanging up the phone, he quickly called his son to follow him to Mother Ruan's house. Their savior was here. Little Zhang had also heard of Su Yun and knew that Su Yun was their village's savior. His spirit was lifted and he quickly helped his father walk outside. Although the father and son's footsteps were a little unsteady, they still walked very quickly. Now, old Zhang couldn't wait to take a loudspeaker and shout at the big cars that were pulling the stones, "Our village's savior is here. Just you wait and see. Don't be fooled by how happy you are now. Be careful that you won't be clean in the future." Chapter 2085. After old Zhang and little Zhang arrived at old Ruan's house, Mrs. Ruan quickly invited them into the house. Old Ruan also sat down in the living room with the help of Ruan Qingshuang. As soon as the two entered the house, old Zhang pulled his son and knelt down when he saw Su Yun. Even Su Yun was shocked by this. One could imagine how much this matter affected them. They were really suffering, which was why they did such a thing. Because Su Yun was the last hope that old Zhang could see now, after seeing Su Yun, all of his troubles were vented. "Qingshuang, you and Mr. Su are the last hope of our village now. You must seek justice for us." Old Zhang fell to his knees and began to cry. Su Yun and Ruan Qingshuang hurried forward to support him. They hadn't figured out the situation yet, so they couldn't rush to a conclusion. But the two of them couldn't accept such a big bow. Ruan Qingshuang and Su Yun supported old Zhang and said, "If there's anything, tell us first. We will definitely help the villagers. Uncle Zhang, please don't do this. We really can't accept it." Old Zhang and little Zhang were helped to sit on the sofa. Old Ruan sighed. "Little Zhang, you are cultured. Tell us. I don't know what to say about this matter, and I don't know what project those big bosses want to do." Little Zhang nodded and looked at Su Yun. "Brother Su, we really need you to uphold justice for the villagers. It's the people from Yuda Cement Factory who did evil, and that's why our village is like this. The general process of the matter was like this. Because Yuda Cement illegally opened a stone factory in their county and made stones in the back mountain of the village every day, the village was seriously polluted. The village secretary, Lu, led the villagers to ask the person in charge of Yuda Cement for an explanation. Then they were beaten. Yuda Cement Factory had been in operation for many years. Since the cement production couldn't go up, they began to think of crooked ways. They directly opened a stone factory on the mountain. Because the stone factory was not approved, there were no approval procedures for pollution and other conditions during the operation period. As a result, the operation of the stone factory brought in stone powder that covered the sky. Their village was seriously polluted, and every day, the dust covered the entire village's crops and homes. All the crops were covered and polluted by stone powder. The villagers' food and clothes were all covered in stone powder. Su Yun could see all of this. The leaves of the crops had already turned white. Photosynthesis required leaves to be green for it to happen. The stone powder had caused the crops to die of starvation. Of course, people could also starve to death if the wheat failed to harvest. With the pollution reaching this level, Secretary Lu led the village committee and the contaminated villagers to ask Yuda Cement Factory to deal with it. But Yuda Cement didn't care about it. Every day, the rumbling machines of the stone factory operated as usual, and the dust covered the entire village as usual. The villagers had no choice but to find Yuda Cement and ask them for an explanation. However, Yuda Cement did not explain. They directly hired gangsters and many strong employees. There were hundreds of them, armed with police shields and batons, wearing safety helmets, and dressed as armed police. They rushed up and beat up more than 50 villagers. After a while, more than 50 villagers were knocked to the ground. More than 20 were rescued and hospitalized because of their serious injuries. Although old Lu was the secretary of the village and flaunted his power, in the face of these people, he didn't have the slightest way. Of course, Secretary Lu also did something wrong. He asked for a large sum of compensation, so he angered the other party. This kind of thing was indeed a matter of two hands clapping. If Secretary Lu hadn't brought people to block the other party's stone truck and asked for money, perhaps there wouldn't have been such a big conflict. Of course, the main responsibility of this matter was still on the Yuda Cement Factory. After all, they were operating a stone factory illegally. Among the people who were beaten were Old Ruan and Old Zhang. Old Zhang's son was young, so his injuries were relatively light. Of course, there were also a few young people who thought they could fight, so they fought with them. As a result, they were beaten even more seriously. There were still people in the hospital who hadn't woken up yet. What made them even angrier was that they called the police, but the police didn't do anything when they arrived. They just watched the other party beat people up. They all hoped that the relevant departments would impose formal legal punishment on the Uda cement factory, but the result was even more unsatisfactory. No one cared about them at all. No one made a decision for them. The local county leaders seemed to be good friends with the director of the Uda cement factory. Therefore, their evil deeds wouldn't be punished at all. Of course, the villagers couldn't accept this. They were beaten up, and no one even paid for the medical expenses. What else could a group of farmers like them do to help the evildoer do evil? They could only endure it. They could only endure the stone mining day and night, and endure the stone trucks rampaging through the village every day, before they would stop working at night. Now, even at night, there were still big trucks rumbling through the village. These drivers also used the power of the tiger to intimidate others. They didn't step on the brakes at all. Some people even directly knocked down the streetlights in the village. They didn't take it seriously at all. Now, the whole village was in a panic. It was fine if people were in a panic, but now there was no way to live here. The dust made it impossible for people to breathe normally. Not to mention opening the windows. Even if the windows were closed, there would be a layer of dust every day. There was no way to dry the laundry. If the freshly cooked food wasn't eaten in 10 minutes, it would be full of the smell of stone foam. How could people live like this? The villagers in the village were miserable. They really didn't know what to do. No one made a decision for them. Even the bully in their eyes, Party Secretary Liu, was beaten up until he couldn't tell north from south. He was still lying in the hospital. Without a leader, the other villagers were like a plate of loose sand. Now, all of them swallowed their anger, hoping that the heavenly soldiers would come down and arrest these bad guys. Punish them severely. After Su Yun heard the whole story, he had a basic understanding of the matter. It seemed that the county was far away from the emperor. As long as the boss of a company had a good relationship with the leaders in the county, he could do whatever he wanted. No one could do anything to him. Brother Su Yun, that's what happened. After Xiao Zhang finished speaking, tears were about to come out. We really don't know what to do. Who should make a decision for us? Ruan Qingxuang was very angry. It was a society ruled by law. How could such a thing happen? These people were too lawless. And the leaders of the relevant departments were too irresponsible. This kind of company should be closed down. And the leaders of the departments in charge of supervision should be dismissed. They should go home and think about what the country raised them for. It was for them to serve the people, not for them to be the accomplices of the evildoers. It wasn't for them to put on the airs of an official every day. And the current situation was really... Ruan Qingxuang took a deep breath. She believed that even Party Secretary Liu was beaten. No one would be responsible for this matter. Su Yun. Ruan Qingxuang didn't have any ideas now. She could only hope that Su Yun could help them solve it. Su Yun smiled slightly. It's okay. If no one makes a decision for you, I will make a decision for you. Since they are lawless and think that no one dares to interfere with their affairs, then we will use the same method to let them know what it feels like. Hearing Su Yun's words, Old Zhang and Xiao Zhang seemed to have taken a mouthful of reassurance. We finally met the heavens. Ruan Qingxuang knew that Su Yun would definitely have a way. Fortunately, he was here. If Su Yun didn't come with her, she really didn't know what the use of her coming back was. Chapter 2086. Old Zhang was obviously more agitated than Little Zhang. Little Su. Oh no, Mr. Su, what should we do now? Do I need to do something? Look at me. I'm so nervous that I don't even know what to say. I just shouted. Uncle Zhang, it's quite affectionate of you to call me Little Su. You don't seem to regard me as an outsider at all. Su Yun smiled. He could see old Zhang's nervousness and excitement. They had been out of their wits for many days. Now that they finally had a chance, they naturally had to seize it. Anyone would be excited and nervous. Brother Su Yun, as long as you need us to do anything, just tell us. You're the only person who can make decisions for the villagers. Little Zhang said, no matter what you ask me to do, I'll definitely cooperate with you without any complaints. If you want to help, then persuade the villagers again tomorrow. When the truck carrying the stone enters the mountain, block the road for me. Su Yun, oh right, block the street lamp that they broke. Leave the rest to me. Little Zhang frowned. After the previous incident, the villagers were indeed afraid of being beaten up. This time, they might not dare to stand up and help Su Yun. After all, Secretary Liu helped when they blocked the road last time. Now that the Liu family was lying in the hospital, no one dared to take the lead, right? No one wanted to become like the Liu family. The Liu family members were seriously injured and still had money to treat their illness. Some people were so poor that they only earned 3,000 to 5,000 yuan a year. Entering the hospital? What kind of joke was that? What kind of institution was the hospital now? Saving the dying and treating the injured? What a joke. The hospital was a black shop that ripped you off without any discussion. They would ask you to do a full body checkup for just a small matter. 3,000 to 5,000 yuan was probably not even enough for the checkup, let alone hospitalization. Moreover, no matter what kind of doctor or nurse it was, 80% of the staff always had a zombie face. They couldn't speak clearly and were weak. Ordinary people couldn't hear clearly. If they asked twice, they would be impatient. The words written were also incomprehensible. Who the F***CK could understand which country it was from? Of course, if you could meet a doctor or nurse who was neither an acquaintance nor a relative who would still be polite to you, then it was definitely because you had accumulated good karma in your previous life and received good karma in this life. Therefore, when Su Yun said that he wanted to gather the villagers to block the road again, Little Zhang felt that it was a little difficult. Don't worry. Tell the villagers that you don't need them to do anything. I'll put the car on the road. They're just in charge of keeping an eye out for me so I don't get scratched. Su Yun smiled. If anyone wants to make money, bring 2 buckets of water and help me wipe the car. I'll pay for the service. Little Zhang nodded. He knew that Su Yun wasn't the kind of person who would flaunt just because he had some money. He just wanted to use this method to attract everyone. In fact, there was no need for anyone to come out. Su Yun could handle this matter himself. He didn't ask everyone to come out to block the road. In fact, he wanted everyone to see that he was backing them up. He didn't want them to live in a situation where everyone was in fear. Now, Su Yun knew very well what the people needed. What they needed was a heart that could be comforted. Little Zhang, how about this? I'll go with you tomorrow to appeal to everyone. Ruan Qingshuang said. It wasn't early today. The batch of cars that carried the stones had already left. It was unknown when they would come again at night. Su Yun also needed to understand the situation more. After all, this was Little Zhang's side of the story. How about this? Uncle Zhang, Little Zhang, if there's nothing else, let's have lunch here this afternoon. Su Yun, I'll go to the mountain behind the village to see what's going on and understand. I'll go with you, Ruan Qingshuang said. You don't have to go with me. It's not easy for you to go home. Stay at home and chat with the elders. Su Yun, I'm just going up to take a look. I'll be back in a while. I don't have anything to do at home. Ruan Qingshuang was worried about Su Yun alone. Besides, you're not familiar with the roads here. I can give you directions. Old Ruan also said, yes, let her go with you. She's familiar with the back of the mountain. There's nothing to do at home. Let her cook 2 dishes for you. You can have a drink with Uncle Zhang. Su Yun smiled. Old Zhang quickly waved his hand. In fact, before the stone factories incident, he had often come to Old Ruan's place to drink. Of course, Old Ruan was generous, and his daughter was capable. She bought so much good wine for him, but he couldn't finish it all in the kitchen. The two of them had a good relationship since they were young, so old Ruan always liked to invite him over to drink with him. But today was not the time for him to drink. Old Ruan's son-in-law rarely came over. As an outsider, how could he disturb them? It's not easy for your family to sit together. I can't join in. That would make me look useless. Old Zhang quickly got up and told his son to leave. Let's go back. There's still some work to be done at home. Tomorrow, we'll call for everyone to unite and cooperate with Xiao Su's work. Sit for a while. Mother Ruan said politely. But old Zhang insisted on leaving with his son. In fact, Xiao Zhang wanted to stay for a meal and build a good relationship with the Ruan family. After this matter was settled, he could go back to the city to find a job. Maybe Su Yun and Ruan Qingshuang could help him. But at this time, he still had to listen to old Zhang. Old Zhang was thoughtful. If they stayed, the family would think that they didn't know anything. Old Zhang was an old man, so he understood the principle of how to deal with people. After sending off old Zhang and Xiao Zhang, Su Yun and Ruan Qingshuang got in the car and went directly to the back of the mountain. It was almost dinner time. Old Ruan urged his wife to hurry up and cook. He was worried that the children were hungry. The two drove through the dusty road. They didn't dare to open the window at all. The dust behind the car made Su Yun unable to see the road in the rearview mirror. The environment was really bad. After passing the slightly better cement road, there was a hard dirt road. It hadn't rained recently, so the road was very dry and hard. The dust was even more serious than the cement road. The road was also full of potholes from the cars transporting the stone. It could be said that this road was really difficult to walk on. Even the Qian suffered a lot in this place. It was quite strenuous to run. This kind of place should be more suitable for the Land Rover Discovery 4. It was quite tiring for a car with average off-road performance to run. If it really rained and encountered a muddy situation, ordinary small cars really couldn't enter this place. Su Yun followed Ruan Qingshuang's directions and quickly arrived at the back of the mountain in the village. At this time, the stone mining on the mountain had not stopped. The sound of the machines was very loud. And the people at the scene were all wearing dust masks. Su Yun saw a Volkswagen Tiguan parked outside the temporary office and drove his car over. The people in the office saw such a good car and quickly came out. They thought that some big leader had come. One must know that he bought this divine car Tiguan a few years ago. At that time, the price of this car was 20,000 yuan. But on this broken road, the axle almost broke. The leader was really bold. He directly drove the Qian up the mountain. Rich people were willful. He wasn't afraid of losing such a good car. The person who came out of the office should be the leader in charge of the stone mining. He saw that the Qian was parked here and didn't move. He didn't act rashly. He persisted in the dust for a minute. After a minute, he couldn't stand it anymore and coughed a few times. However, the people in the car still didn't want to get out. The person in charge was really a little scared. He didn't understand the situation. In fact, there was no situation. Su Yun looked at the general situation and understood. There were no measures to prevent dust pollution. This stone factory must be illegal. Of course, Su Yun wouldn't get out of the car to eat the dust. He parked here for a few minutes so that the guy outside would eat more dust. Now that the guy was full, Su Yun didn't say anything. He directly turned the car around and stepped on the accelerator. The car flew away. The person in charge of the stone factory was almost choked to death by the dust storm caused by the Qian tires. Chapter 2087. Looking at the Qian driving away, the person in charge of the stone factory spat out a mouthful of dust and quickly returned to his office. He had only been out for a few minutes, but his hair was already covered in dust. He didn't know how much harmful gas he had inhaled and how many hours he would lose. In fact, these people were very particular about their own health. They were especially clear about the impact of this kind of pollution, but they just didn't take the health of other people seriously. As long as they were fine, it was fine. Anyway, they didn't often live in this kind of place. Director Juan, what was the situation just now? Suddenly, a person ran into the office. Was the person in the car just now the leader of the factory? Leader my ass. Juan Chung-kong spat again, but he still felt uncomfortable in his mouth. Who knows what he did? Not to mention getting out of the car, he didn't even roll down the window. He just left with a mouthful of dust. This Juan Chung-kong was the person in charge of the stone factory. The person who ran in was Lu Bo, who was in charge of safety and environment. The two of them were responsible for the mining of the entire stone site. Other people who had the right to speak wouldn't come to the first site at all. It was so dirty here. Would the big leaders be willing to come? Then you didn't see through the glass to see if it was our boss? Lu Bo said, if it was our boss, then blame us for not being considerate. The boss came here to play with you when he had nothing to do? Juan Chung-kong said disdainfully, even if you came, you wouldn't be able to see. This car either has a privacy glass or a privacy glass film. You can't see inside at all. It's dark. Lu Bo frowned. It can't be that he came here to play, right? Our place isn't a fun place. Juan Chung-kong said, that's hard to say. Now, many rich people have weird ideas. Maybe they will go to remote places. It's possible. Then they must be really bored. Lu Bo said, let them come and eat dust for 2 days. Then they will know what's fun in this place. Okay, don't talk nonsense. Let's hurry up and let the brothers work overtime. We still have to transport a batch tonight. The cars will come back tomorrow morning. Hurry up and work. Juan Chung-kong said, while those unruly people are honest and don't cause us trouble, we should quickly earn enough money. Lu Bo chuckled. What kind of trouble can those commoners cause us? Boss can settle it with a single word. If they still want to cause trouble, why beat them up? I don't believe that they won't behave. Old Lu, I told you that you don't know how to keep up with the times. This is an internet society, and news travels very quickly. Juan Chung-kong said, it's a good thing that the people here don't know what the internet is. One of them even posted a post about it. Our boss gave the Internet Surveillance Bureau's head a favor and they deleted it. Lu Bo nodded. That's true. If it wasn't deleted, the negative impact would be quite big. Fortunately, our boss has some tricks up his sleeve. What means? Money is the means. Juan Chung-kong said. They would do anything to make money because they knew that money was the solution to all problems. That was why they would do anything to make money. After Su Yun and Ruan Qingshuang returned home, old Ruan took out some good wine. Mother Ruan also made 8 dishes. The lobsters that she usually couldn't bear to eat were all taken out of the fridge. They couldn't bear to buy these things. They were all brought by the 2 children when they came back to visit them. Some were sent directly by Ruan Qingshuang. They were all wrapped in ice packs and sent in an insulated box. This is too sumptuous. I won't stand on ceremony then. Su Yun smiled and sat down. The more relaxed he appeared, the more relaxed others would feel. Su Yun knew this very well, so he didn't stand on ceremony and started eating. Seeing Su Yun like this, old Ruan smiled at his wife. The more they looked at Su Yun, the more comfortable they felt and the more reliable he was. Mother Ruan asked her husband more than once what kind of good fortune they had in their previous life to be able to receive such good karma in their old age. It really made them feel that they had no regrets even if they died. Ruan Qingshuang kept giving food to her parents. After Su Yun accompanied old Ruan to drink 2 glasses of wine, old Ruan's tongue became big and his mind became muddled. He was the kind of person who could fall asleep after drinking too much. After dinner, old Ruan wanted to chat with the 2 of them, but the alcohol was too strong. He couldn't hold on for a few minutes. In addition, his body was injured, so he went to bed early to rest. He fell asleep as soon as he went to bed. After Ruan Qingshuang helped her mother tidy up everything, it was already late. Mother Ruan pointed to the room prepared for them. It's late. You should rest early. Your father can't leave someone to take care of him. I'll go back to the room first. You can go take care of Dad. Ruan Qingxuang nodded. We'll rest in a while. The old people in the countryside all went to bed early. This was a habit they had for many years. After all, the people in the countryside didn't have as much energy as the people in the city. They had to do a lot of work during the day and didn't have a rich nightlife at night. So, it was their habit to go to bed early. Ruan Qingxuang looked at the bedroom her mother prepared for them. She was really drunk in her heart. The big red quilt, with dragons and phoenixes on it. She didn't know when her mother had prepared this. It was just like a new wedding bed. Su Yun couldn't help but laugh after seeing it. He whispered to Ruan Qingxuang, "There are 4 joys in life. After a long drought, there's rain, there's an old friend in a foreign land, there's the golden exam, and the wedding night." Really, it's just like the wedding night. Ruan Qingxuang's pretty face turned red. "This is my own room. Who said you could sleep here? Go sleep in the living room. You still want the wedding night? Dream on. Don't. You're so heartless to abandon me." "It's so cold in the living room," Su Yun said. "You still think it's cold in July?" Ruan Qingxuang said, "I feel hot when I see the quilt my mother prepared for me." "You don't have to wear clothes if you're hot." Su Yun said, "That way, it's cooler." Ruan Qingxuang glared at Su Yun. "Su Yun, don't go overboard. We're at home. You don't want to be treated as a rogue, right? Even if you say that I'm a rogue, no one in the family or the village will believe you. Do you believe it?" Su Yun said. This was really true. Ruan Qingxuang shook her head helplessly. Su Yun was now a superhero in their village. He was definitely not an ordinary big shot. Whoever dared to say something bad about him was definitely not willing. Even Ruan Qingxuang didn't dare to say anything. "Wait until you solve the problems in the village tomorrow before you show off." Ruan Qingxuang said, "If you don't handle it well tomorrow, your image in the village may be shattered." "If I can't handle such a small matter, then am I still Su Yun?" Su Yun smiled slightly and said confidently, "Well, a night of spring is worth 1,000 gold. Let's not waste time. Let's go to bed early so that we won't be disturbed by the passing cars at night." After that, Su Yun lay on the bed in the room. "It's so comfortable. This mattress is really thick. It's not uncomfortable at all." Ruan Qingxuang's pretty face blushed. "Screw you. Hurry up and take a shower. You're covered in dust. How can you go to bed? Hurry up. After washing, put the clothes that need to be changed directly in the basin. I'll help you wash later." "Yes." Su Yun immediately got up and took a shower. Living in this environment, even if he took 8 showers a day, he wouldn't feel clean. There was too much dust. There was really no way to deal with it. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.